Chapter 52, All Have Come. Chapter 52, All have come. As soon as the sky brightened, the Long family's martial arts practice field became lively. The disciples of the Long family and the famous aristocrats of the Fire-Glass City rushed to the training grounds early in the morning. The huge martial arts practice field was so crowded that not even a drop of water could trickle through. The Long family hadn't been so lively today in decades. They were all here because of Long Fei, wanting to see if Long Fei had truly recovered the dragon god's blood essence. Look, that's the peak rank 5 beast our young lord killed. His strength is unparalleled, he could easily kill a war spirit realm warrior, our young lord could easily kill him. The genius young master is back. Long Shan and the others bragged whenever they saw anyone. Regardless if it was true or not, he had to build up momentum for Long Fei. Let his influence rise. The large power King Kong ape's head was still placed in the middle of the training grounds, and anyone who entered would be able to see it immediately. He was even more certain about the matter of Long Fei recovering the dragon god blood lineage. Suddenly, Divine Marquis Zhuge has arrived. Zhuge Tianlong walked into the training grounds with a smile on his face. Behind him were a few Zhuge family disciples, Zhuge Zhenqiang among them. He was Zhuge Tianlong's only son. He was also one of the young elites of the Fire-Glass City, a person deeply admired and respected by the royal family. As Zhuge Zhenqiang stepped into the martial arts arena, he could not help but sneer, and said disdainfully, "This kind of low-level martial arts arena is really poor." Many of the Long family disciples were displeased. Zhuge Tianlong slightly said, "Chong'e, don't be so unruly, just put some words in your heart, why would you say them out loud?" He even added another stab. Zhuge Zhenqiang laughed, "I will remember." Long Zhanyi personally went up to welcome him and said, "The Divine Marquis has arrived, it's a long distance to welcome you." Zhuge Tianlong cupped his fists and said, "Brother Zhanyi, you are too courteous. We are only here to observe the disciples of the Long family today, and to let the disciples of the Zhuge family study properly. The Long family is a family that has existed in the Fire-Glass City for tens of thousands of years, and the disciples of the Long family are all elites." Zhuge Zhenqiang said, "Father, I will definitely learn properly, but I heard that the Long family has lost all of their talented people in these years, and they do not have any outstanding disciples." Long Zhanyi frowned. Zhuge Tianlong laughed, "Brother Zhanyi, please forgive me for being so rude." Long Zhanyi laughed, "It's all right. The Divine Marquis side, please take your seat." "Many thanks." Zhuge Tianlong laughed, and thought, Long family? Even after 10,000 years? Humph. I don't think the day is far off. Zhuge Zhenqiang also laughed. "This is the Long family, they look like slaves. Just looking at me makes you want to laugh, and you think you can become one of the 4 pillars?" Zhuge Tianlong slightly said, "Don't underestimate the Long family. The true terrifying person of the Long family has yet to come out." "Father, are you talking about the Grand Elder of the Long family?" Zhuge Zhenqiang said, "I heard that the Long family's Grand Elder is in closed-door training to attack the War Master Reem. Even if the Long family were to collapse, he would not come out, so there's no need to be afraid of him. Furthermore, our Zhuge family already has that." Zhuge Tianlong glared at him. Zhuge Zhenqiang immediately shut his mouth and did not say any more. "Prince Nangong has arrived." Nangong Lei came. "Look, it's Nangong Yang. Fire-Glass City's #1 beauty. Too beautiful. How can there be such a beautiful woman in the world? Look at the young man beside her. Isn't Nangong Yang the fiancé of the Long family's young master? This is the Long family, they are so intimate with the Long family, and even more so, Long Fei." The martial arts arena began to discuss softly. The biggest Nangong Yang in the entire Fire-Glass City was Long Fei's fiancée. However, she was holding onto a man's arm as she walked into the Long family. Wasn't this insulting the Long family? Wasn't he bullying the Long family? Moreover, she had a look of deep affection on her face and was talking and laughing along the way. She didn't care about the Long family at all. This made many people of the Long family unhappy, but no one dared say anything. The Dragon Grand Elder had gone into closed-door cultivation, the acting clan chief Long Zhanhai had gone into closed-door cultivation, Great Elder Long Zhanwu had gone all out to deal with Long Fei, Who would stand up for Long Fei at this time? Another slap on the Long family's face. Li martial arts sect, General Li has arrived. Li Chongtian brought the 2 rows of Li clan soldiers and entered the Long clan's residence. He was fully armed, as if he was going to the battlefield. This was like watching an arena war battle. This was using the Long family as a battlefield. Another slap on the face. The last to step up was the Nangong imperial clan. Nangong Hu did not come personally, but chose to send a prince, Nangong Xiao. Some people greeted him at the martial arts practice field. Nangong Xiao's complacency could be seen from his words, and he said, "This prince is only here to observe the arena fights, I'll just treat it as my normal identity." And then, after taking his seat, Nangong Xiao coldly snorted and said, "Long Zhanye, you don't even have a holy tea here?" Long Zhanye's expression changed slightly as he said, "Your Highness, we are indeed. F***ck. What kind of dogshit clan is this, and what kind of dog or cat family can become a 4 pillars family? Even the tea was of such low quality, the Long family. Hee. I think it's better to change your name to Dog," Nangong Xiao said in disdain. Long Zhanye clenched his fists tightly. He was patiently enduring. He had come today to deal with Long Fei. There was nothing he could do. If it was the Long family at their peak, they would have long since moved their heads. The 3 Pillars family and the Nangong imperial family all gave the Long family a ruthless slap. In the eyes of the outsiders in martial arts arena, the Long family had withered. The Long family's might was gone, their talents were waning, and they were also fighting inside. On the surface, the Long family was no longer strong enough. This huge family that had existed for 10,000 years would disappear from this world. In the future, he definitely couldn't stand with the Long family. Otherwise, his fate would be very miserable. Many members of the Long family felt a ball of fire in their hearts. Since when had the Long family been so aggrieved? Long Zhanye was also extremely unhappy as he said to Long Zhanwu, "This is going too far, who do they think they are?" Long Zhanwu did not care about all these, but asked, "Is everyone ready?" As long as he became the Long family's head, he believed that he would definitely be able to change the Long family. Long Zhanye nodded his head. "Everything has been prepared according to plan. The 16 disciples who are participating in the arena, other than Long Fei, are all our people. The killer has been arranged." "All right." Long Zhanwu excitedly sneered, "Long Fei, you're dead today." Suddenly, martial arts arena was in an uproar. The young lord is here. It was also at this time. Long Shan and the others changed into the armors of the Imperial Guards, and their dragon-shaped spears shook violently. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, asterisk with one step, he shook the ground and quickly suppressed the voice of the martial arts arena. He walked to Long Fei's side and knelt down heavily, and shouted out loud, "Greetings, young master." His voice shook the heavens. Chapter 53, This father is arrogant, crazy. Chapter 53, This father is arrogant, crazy. It was unknown whether it was because the 3 Pillars and the royal family had suffered from humiliation at the Long family, or because Long Zhanwu had done nothing else, but at this moment. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, asterisk whoosh whoosh whoosh, asterisk all the disciples of the Long family kneeled down as one, and shouted together, "We greet the young master." This time, the sound was like thunder. The expressions of both the 3 Pillars and the royal family trembled slightly. The one with the ugliest expression was Long Zhanwu. Both of his eyes turned sinister, his teeth chattering loudly. He stared at Long Fei, who was in the middle of the crowd, the killing intent in his heart growing even stronger. Long Fei was secretly shocked as well, and said calmly, "Get up." "Thank you, young lord." Long Shan and the others shouted out again. The scene was as if they were inspecting the Long family's army. What a grand show of power. Zhuge Jianqiang said in disdain, "How much money did a mere waste of a pubes spend to win over the hearts of others?" It wasn't loud, but many people heard it. Long Shan immediately shouted, "Divine Marquis Zhuge, please take care of the people around you. If you dare to call our young lord useless, then don't blame us, the Long family's imperial guards, for being impolite." As soon as his voice faded, the Long family's imperial guards shouted in unison, "Ha! The Long family's aura." Zhuge Jianqiang sneered, and said, "Who do you think you are? I say, what happened to his trash? Isn't he a trash? The pubes has shattered, his veins and tendons are congealing, and even the dragon blood that your Long family is proud of has been sucked out, so what if this kind of person is not a trash?" Another insult. Long Shan's steel spear moved. Many of the Long family's guards also started to move. Zhuge Jianqiang laughed with even more contempt. "You want to bully him with numbers? Come, 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 this young master wants to see the power of your bullshit dragon guards." It was also at this time. Long Fei moved, he landed on the stage and pressed down on Long Shan, then turned and pointed at Zhuge Qianlong. "Zhuge Qianlong, why did you bring a dog to the Long family?" Zhuge Jianqiang was immediately angered. He stood up and bellowed, "Long Fei, who are you calling a dog?" Long Fei laughed. "I'm talking about you, Zhuge Jianqiang. I think you're courting death." Zhuge Jianqiang was enraged, and leaped into the air, his body soaring as he threw a punch at Xiong Longfei, fierce tiger roar mountain. Roar. A tiger's roar sounded out. The wind from his fist was biting cold and full of strength. The crime of ambushing the Long family's young master is death. As soon as his voice faded, Long Fei leaped up and similarly flew into the air. His right arm moved, mountain hit fist. Bam! He threw out a punch. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for triggering the ability of the large power King Kong ape. The trigger had a 10% chance of being triggered. Rumble. The two fists collided. Catcher, catcher. Zhuge Jianqiang instantly fell to the ground as all the bones in his right arm shattered. He howled in pain like a pig being butchered. Ah, ah. Defeat in one move. The mountain hit fist was the large power King Kong ape's sacred art, a 5th level heaven stage. How could Zhuge Jianqiang withstand the energy that was used to trigger the divine ability? The instant he landed on the ground. Wind shadow step. Long Fei's body was like an illusion. He landed beside Zhuge Jianqiang, stepped on his chest, stared at Zhuge Qianlong, and said, "Ambushing the Long family's young master, you deserve to die for your crimes." It was too fast. Incomparable dominance. Many people could not react in time. However, at this moment, the disciples of the Long family fiercely released their anger. Long Shan let out a loud roar, "Young lord is mighty." Zhuge Qianlong suddenly stood up, his eyes turned sinister as he bellowed, "Long Fei, you dare." Long Fei laughed, "Your son ambushed me, or was he ambushing me in my Long family? Everyone saw that you, old dog Zhuge, are trying to deny it." Zhuge Jianqiang trembled from the pain, and scolded, "Long Fei, you dog, you dare to touch me." Pa. A slap fell, and directly caused Zhuge Jianqiang's eyes to shine with stars. Long Fei sneered, and said, "Continue shouting." Zhuge Jianqiang's eyes were almost popping out as he stared at Long Fei, and said, "Long Fei, my ass." Pa. With a backhand slap, Long Fei said, "Keep shouting for me," and every time he slapped her, he would only glance at Zhuge Qianlong. The slap on Zhuge Jianqiang's face was similar to the slap on Zhuge Qianlong's face. Zhuge Qianlong released the thick battle qi from his body. He was furious and said while gnashing his teeth, "Long Fei, don't be too arrogant." Ha ha ha. Long Fei laughed loudly, and said arrogantly, "I am just this arrogant, just this arrogant. Old dog Zhuge, if you have the guts, bite me. I want to see whether it's you or me who is faster." While they were talking, Long Fei stepped on Zhuge Jianqiang's throat, and with just a little bit of force, he could break Zhuge Jianqiang's neck. Zhuge Jianqiang became terrified, and shouted with difficulty, "Father, father, save me, save me." Zhuge Qianlong frowned, and snorted, "Long Fei, what do you want?" Long Fei laughed, "Bow to my Long family and apologize." Slapping the Long family's face. Could anyone slap the Long family's face? The divine Marquis of Zhuge was arrogant. "If I can make you act so arrogantly in the Long family, then what is your father doing? Dad, quick, save me." Zhuge Jianqiang's face became paler and paler. He did not have much strength to speak, and his breathing became hurried. Zhuge Jianqiang looked at Nangong Xiao. Nangong Xiao carried the tea in his hand and began to taste it, completely ignoring Zhuge Qianlong who had already walked in. It was the same for Nangong Lei and Li Chongtian. Zhuge Tianlong clenched his fists tightly. He then bowed and said faintly, "I will bring my son to apologize to the Long family." "What do you mean by bringing my son?" Long Fei sneered, and said, "I want your Zhuge family of the divine who to apologize to the Long family." Zhuge Tianlong's eyes were filled with killing intent, and he shouted, "Long Fei, don't push your luck." Long Fei said arrogantly, "I am just pushing my luck too far, what can you do to me?" Finished. Exerting force with his legs, Zhuge Jianqiang fiercely struggled. Personal apologies and family apologies are two entirely different concepts. At the same time, what Long Fei wanted was not only an apology from the Long family that they had humiliated, but also an apology from the dead Long family disciples in Fire Wolf Valley. "Father! Father!" Zhuge Jianqiang was no longer able to speak, and his voice was stuck in his throat. Zhuge Tianlong's only son, his precious son, had to. Zhuge Tianlong bowed again and said, "The Zhuge family of the divine who clan apologizes to your Long family." "Very good." Long Fei's legs loosened up, and then he kicked Zhuge Jianqiang heavily, sending him flying. Long Fei stared at the sky and muttered to himself, "Rest assured, this is only the beginning. I will take revenge for each and every one of you." Zhuge Tianlong immediately flew over to Zhuge Jianqiang's side and stared at his back. The killing intent in his heart had never been so strong. Long Fei stomped hard on the ground to save the Zhuge family's face. Everyone in the Long family felt their blood boiling. "It feels so good." At this moment, Long Shan raised his steel spear and roared, "The young master is mighty, the young master is mighty." The whole of the Long family's disciples shouted, "Young master is mighty, young master is mighty." Everyone cheered. Even the people from the Long family were cheering. They were all too excited to not kill anyone. In the past few decades, the Long family finally had a chance to vent their anger. Chapter 54 Negative Activation to Dragon Blood. Chapter 54 Negative Activation to Dragon Blood. All these years, the Long family had been trampled under the feet of other three pillars. Talent wanes, power diminishes. Many people held their anger in. Long Fei vented it out for them ruthlessly. This feeling was too great. Zhuge Tianlong's face turned green. He quickly fed his son a few healing pills. His eyes turned cold, but he did not leave the training field. Instead, he returned to his seat. He wanted to see what kind of waves Long Fei could create. After pausing for half a second, Long Zhanwu walked out facing a smile. He first gave a slight bow to Zhuge Tianlong, and said, "Don't worry about the divine Marquis that the Long family has offended. After all, every family has their own savage and ignorant man." What did he just say? Kneeling and licking the divine Marquis of Zhuge? Long Shan and the others were in a bad mood. It was just that. Without waiting for them to speak, Long Zhanwu turned and looked at the training grounds, and said loudly, "You all know the rules of the arena fights well, so I will not repeat them again. This year is different from previous years. Before we begin the arena battle, we will need to test your gifted vein." As soon as his voice faded, many people from martial arts arena were confused. How come I didn't have one before? It's not good to test the gifted vein in front of outsiders, right? Great Elder, are you targeting young Master Long Fei? Right now, the entire city is saying that young Master Long Fei has recovered the Dragon God's blood essence. The reason you tested him like this is to confirm whether he has recovered the power of a blood lineage or not, right? Discussions broke out. Long Fei's brows sank. Long Zhanwu slightly smiled, "I am not targeting anyone, it's for the sake of better nurturing you in the future. Of course. If you reject the gifted vein test, then it's fine, but the qualification to participate in the arena competition will be cancelled automatically. Long Fei, as the young master of the Long family, you won't reject us, right?" Long Zhanwu looked at the cold smile on Long Fei's face, and directly forced Long Fei to the edge of the cliff. The intention behind this move was extremely sinister. Long Shan said loudly, "First Elder, you clearly knew that the young master's Dragon God blood essence had been extracted, but you still wanted him to test the blood lineage in front of so many people. Are you trying to humiliate the young master again?" "Exactly. If you want to test for blood lineage, you don't need to do so today. The people from the Three Pillars and the royal family are here. Isn't testing them again just to humiliate the young master? Long Zhanwu simply did not pay any attention to them. He continued to look at Long Fei, a pleased cold smile hanging on his face as he said to himself, if there was no dragon god blood lineage, you would have been humiliated once again, and if there was a dragon god blood lineage, you would have died in the arena. Long Fei, no matter what choice you make, your fate would not have escaped death. Right now, Long Fei had no other choice. Reject, disqualify. Long Zhanwu would immediately remove him from the position of young master. Accepted. Long Fei was very clear in his heart that there was no dragon god blood lineage at all. The result of the examination would only make Long Zhanwu laugh, and cause the disciples of the Long family to feel heartbroken. Let the people of Three Pillars and the royal family, and even the entire Fire Glass City, laugh at him. To test for blood lineage inherent skill was to sprinkle salt on his wounds. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly under his sleeves, and then loosened them, and said faintly, I accept. Crash. The entire audience was in an uproar. He actually accepted it. Nangong Xiao's expression shook, and revealed a sneer of contempt. Seems like this Long Fei isn't that great after all. Li Chongtian also laughed. Indeed, it's not much. Even such a request would be accepted, even a fool would know to reject it. This Long Zhanwu is really not bad. To actually test Long Fei's blood lineage, inherent skill in front of us, isn't this exposing Long Fei's inherent skill right in front of our eyes? Nangong Lei squinted his eyes and stared at Long Fei, muttering, accepted the examination. Could it be that he really has recovered his dragon god blood lineage? At this moment, Nangong Yang also became slightly nervous. She hoped in her heart that Long Fei would never recover his dragon god blood lineage, definitely not. Long Shan anxiously asked, young master, why do you have to accept such unreasonable requests? Long Zhanwu revealed a proud smile, and said, as expected of the Long family's young master, full of courage, it has begun. Not giving Long Fei the chance to regret. A space immediately opened up in the middle of the martial arts practice grounds. Detecting black stone moved out. Long Zhanwu immediately read out the name, Dragon Lin. Long Lin immediately walked out of the crowd and said, here. Her. Long Shan felt that something was wrong and loudly said, the points for the first round of the Dragon Forest was only 10 points. How did he enter the second round? Dragon Lin only had 10 points, which meant that he didn't have the qualifications to enter the second round of the arena competition. Long Zhanwu laughed, I forgot to tell you, he is replacing Long Hai. Long Shan shouted, I protest. Long Zhanwu sneered, and said, who do you think you are? The protest was futile, and Long Lin will go up to inspect. He was the Grand Elder. Right now, he could control the entire Long family with one hand and do anything he wanted. Changing the rules of the arena and arranging for one's own disciples to enter the competition was nothing. Long Fei held on to Long Shan, shook his head, and said, it's useless. Long Shan said, young chieftain, I suspect that the 16 arena fights are all the disciples of the Grand Elder other than you. In other words, it's too despicable of you to fight against 15 people. Long Fei was mentally prepared for this outcome. No matter what. His goal today was to destroy Long Zhanwu. Dragon Forest, 3rd level War Spirit, Dragon Blood activation 40 points. Long Tai, 3rd level War Spirit, Dragon Blood activation 42 points. Long Yarrow, War Spirit of the 4th level, Dragon Blood activation 44 points. The 16 disciples stepped forward one by one to examine him. Long Fei observed every single disciple very carefully. He was looking for the killer. Suddenly, Long Fu, War Spirit of the 5th level. Dragon Blood activation 50 points. Long Fei's gaze tightened, and the corner of his mouth slightly lifted, as he thought in his heart, I guess it's you. He didn't show it on the surface. Next, Long Fei. When Long Fei's name was called, the entire audience suddenly went silent. They all stretched their necks to look at him, and quite a few people in the VIP seats stood up. Will it recover the Dragon God's blood essence? I think he has definitely recovered. Otherwise, how could he kill a peak rank 5 beast? I think he's recovered, too. Apart from the discussions of outsiders, The disciples of the Long family were also discussing, young master must have recovered the dragon god's blood essence, he must be a dragon god warrior. Young lord, you can do it. As long as he recovers the dragon god's blood essence and becomes a dragon god warrior again, he will be able to control the Long family's army and become the divine dragon marquis of the future. Definitely. Their hearts were filled with anticipation. He was filled with confidence. The Long family urgently needed someone to stand up for them, and more importantly, they needed their dragon god warriors. Hearing the discussion of the Long family disciples, Long Fei's heart sank, and he slowly walked forward. Activate the true breath to the center of the palm, press it onto the black stone, and then squeeze out a bit of blood. At this moment, Long Fei could only do it. The true breath was activated, and the black stone started to shine. His cultivation was out. The person loudly muttered, Long Fei, first-level war spirit. A drop of his blood essence fell onto the black stone. Black stone absorbed the blood essence, slowly. There was no reaction after half a minute. Dragon blood activation. 0. Chapter 55 Arena Match Start. Chapter 55 Arena Match Start. Boom. It was like a clap of thunder. The bodies of those Long clan disciples trembled, and a few of them even fell to the ground, their eyes glazed over as they said, No, no, impossible. Young master's cultivation has already recovered, so it's impossible for his dragon blood activation to be 0. The black stone must be broken. That must be the case. Young master, test it again. To the disciples of the Long family who placed their hopes on Long Fei, it was like a bolt out of the blue. The hope in his heart instantly collapsed. What did 0 points in dragon blood activation mean? This meant that not even the tiniest bit of dragon blood had been restored, and it wasn't even as talented as the most ordinary disciples of the Long family. He might not be able to recover in this lifetime. In other words, Long Fei would never be able to become a dragon god warrior in his entire life. Despair. Even Long Shan was a little unsteady on his feet. Looking at the calm face of Long Fei, he asked, How could this happen? How could this? Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Long Zhanwu started laughing crazily without restraint, without any concealment. Negative activation to dragon blood, negative activation to dragon blood, ha ha ha. Long Fei, even the Long family's dogs aren't limited to negative activation to dragon blood, you don't even have one, ha ha ha. You still want to become a dragon god warrior with this kind of behavior, go eat **t, ha ha ha. Laugh. He smiled complacently. Long Zhanwu finally released the anger that he had suppressed in his heart during this period of time. At the time of Long Fei's test, he was also worried that Long Fei's dragon god blood essence would recover. But now he didn't have to worry at all. Long Zhanwu's disciples all loudly laughed at him. Dragon god warriors? Bullshit. Long Fei, you're just a piece of trash from start to finish, ha ha ha. Negative activation to dragon blood, there's no chance at all. From what I see, you are not even a descendant of the Long family. You must have picked up some bastard somewhere. Ha ha ha. A loud taunt. They too let out a vicious breath in their hearts. Apart from them, she said with a cold and disdainful smile, a trash will always be a trash. Father, there's no need to continue watching. This kind of trash is not worthy to be my, Nangong Yang's, husband. He will be mocked by the entire world. Her eyes looked at Long Fei, her eyes filled with contempt and scorn. At this moment. At the same time, she was thinking about, how could she break the engagement with this trash? Ha ha. It was all for nothing to worry about. As expected, Long Fei is still that trash Long Fei. Nangong Xiao laughed and said, there is no longer a need to watch the arena fights anymore. Li Chongtian also secretly heaved a sigh of relief and laughed. I had thought that Long Fei had recovered the dragon god's blood essence, I hadn't thought that it would actually be negative activation to dragon blood. Zhuge Tianlong laughed coldly and said, there is only one possibility for this activation rate. Long Fei is a bastard child that I picked up. Nangong Lei also heaved a sigh of relief, revealing a faint smile. Amongst the crowd, Fu Shishan frowned, she couldn't understand either, why is it like this? Liu Feng was even more confused, and was unable to understand Long Fei. if he did not recover the dragon god's blood essence, how did he refine a true pill? And how did he refine a top-grade talisman? What the hell is going on? It was too difficult to understand. Long Shan walked to Long Fei's side and anxiously asked, "Young master, it can't be like this, testing again, maybe the test results for the Blackstone are bad." Long Fei shook his head and laughed, "There's no need." Long Zhanwu laughed proudly, "Long Fei, do you want to test it again? We have a lot of time, so even if you want to test us 100 times, it won't be a problem." Ha ha ha. Negative activation to dragon blood is really too funny. Tell me, how did you still have the face to stay in the Long family? If it's me, I'll just knock my head against the wall and die. Long Fei frowned, his fists clenched tightly as he said, "Long Zhanwu, your talent test is complete. Can we start the competition now?" In the Long family, dragon blood activation was extremely important. It is talent. Everything. Without dragon blood activation, he would be sentenced to death, and would be unable to turn over his entire body in this lifetime. To the people of the other clans, the disciples of the Long family who did not have dragon blood activation were simply trash for the rest of their lives. But, dragon god blood essence, the supreme blood lineage? To Long Fei, they were just a joke. Dragon god's blood essence was nothing. Compared to the striking system, it was not even a fart. Long Fei was very calm, his heart was not affected at all. In the face of the surrounding ridicule, contempt, and disappointment of some people, he was unperturbed. As a living person, this kind of bearing could still be obtained. Furthermore, this allowed him to clearly see the face of many people, such as his fiancée, Nangong Yang. "Wait and see." Long Fei laughed coldly in his heart. Long Zhanwu said, "Do you really not need to go through the test again? Long Fei, you can try to test it again. Maybe you can increase the activation rate by 1 point this time. Ha ha ha. Is it funny?" The anger in Long Fei's heart roiled about. Long Zhanwu said loudly, "Of course it's funny, don't you see how happy I am smiling?" And then, Long Zhanwu lowered his voice and said, "A trash like you with negative activation to dragon blood dares to challenge me? You don't even have the qualifications. Look, the Zhuge family, the Li family, Prince Nangong, and the royal family are all laughing because of you, trash. The Long family's face has been completely thrown away by you. If I were you, I would have killed myself long ago." Long Fei's gaze tensed up. "Long Fei, don't blame me for not reminding you, you are in a hurry to leave the Long family right now. When the stage starts, you will die, this is your last chance." Long Zhanwu looked at Long Fei with a complacent expression. In his heart, Long Fei no longer had the qualifications to fight with him. The disciples of the Long family were disappointed and dejected. It was even more impossible to control the Long family's army. Long Fei had already been kicked out of the Long family competition. What right did he have to fight him? As long as he could get rid of Long Fei and get rid of him, then he would be the divine dragon marquis of the Long family, the master of the Long family, at that time. Thinking of this, Long Zhanwu started to laugh maniacally in his heart. Long Fei raised his eyes and laughed. "Are you afraid?" "Afraid? What a joke. Would I be afraid of a negative activation to dragon blood scandal?" Long Zhanwu sneered, "You're too arrogant and conceited. Since I gave you a chance to live, and you don't know how to cherish it, then..." Suddenly, Long Zhanwu's voice sank, and he shouted, "The competition arena will now begin." As soon as his voice faded, the entire venue quieted down. First round. Long Fei vs. Dragon Forest. "Disciples, please step forward." Long Lin jumped onto the stage with a disdainful sneer on his face, and said, "Long Fei, step on stage and die." At this moment, only Long Shan and a few guards were by Long Fei's side. "Young master, the Dragon Forest is at the level of level 3 war spirit, you must be careful." Chapter 56, Who's Next? Chapter 56, Who's Next? Level 1 Cultivation, Success. If he wanted to kill someone stronger than him, it would be too difficult. Amongst the 16 disciples, Long Fei was the weakest, having a war spirit of the first level. The other 15 were all above him. In the beginning, they still had fear in their hearts, but the blood test results made them feel a sense of superiority, so they no longer had to be afraid of Long Fei. Come up and die, waste. The dragon forest was extremely arrogant. As long as he killed Long Fei, he would be able to reap the rewards. Naturally, Long Zhanwu would not lose out to him, and his status in the Long family would also rise in the future. When he thought about this, Long Tian's heart was elated. An even more pleased cold smile surfaced on his face, and he said, Long Fei, if you're afraid, kneel down and kowtow and beg for mercy. This daddy will happily spare your pathetic life, ha ha ha. The corner of Long Fei's mouth curved up as he sneered. Slowly walking onto the stage, Long Fei said slightly, I'll give you a chance. As long as you scold Long Zhanwu as an old dog, I'll spare your life. Long Lin's face turned sinister, his hands formed claws, and shouted, Long Fei, insult the great clan elder, today you're dead. 2 claws struck. The aura of a third-level war spirit was released. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, a few scratches appeared in the air and directly attacked Long Fei's throat. Long Fei stood in place without moving an inch. What happened to him? Has he gone mad? Young master, be careful. He must have been scared silly. No matter how strong a level 1 war spirit is, it's impossible for a level 3 war spirit to be a match, not to mention that Long Fei is even a waste of negative activation to dragon blood. In everyone's hearts, Long Fei was bound to lose. There was no suspense at all. However, just as Long Lin's right hand was about to lock onto Long Fei's throat, Long Fei raised both his eyes slightly, moved his right arm, and ordered, Mountain hit fist. Bam! He punched out. It was like a mountain had been split open. A dull power was released, and a fist smashed onto Long Lin's right claw. Crack! The joints were broken and turned into powder. Long Lin gave a pitiful cry as he hastily retreated. Wind shadow step. Whoosh. His body moved, instantly appearing behind Long Lin, the corner of his mouth raised, revealing the smile of a god of death. He cupped his fists, and suddenly jumped up, mountain hit fist. He leapt into the air like a large power King Kong ape possessed. The posture was exactly the same as the large power King Kong ape. Hugging his fists, he smashed them down heavily. It crashed onto the top of Long Lin's head. Rumble. 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 There was a silent explosion of force in the air, like the explosion of a building. Dragon Lin's head split open, all the bones in his body fractured, blood spewed out and he fell to the ground, dead. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Dragon Forest, for obtaining 800 experience, 80 true breath and 10 energy values. The system beep rang. Long Fei kicked Long Lin's corpse flying, then walked to the center of the stage and coldly stared at Long Zhanwu, and said, again. Long Zhanwu was unable to react in time. Not just him. There were a few people who did not react in time. The level 3 war spirit, Long Lin, died just like that. It was too fast. There was simply no reaction at all. How did Long Fei actually kill him? 2 punches. Just what kind of cultivation technique could have such powerful strength? How did a first-level war spirit kill a third-level war spirit? Confusion. Shock. Too powerful. The fire in Long Shan's heart started burning up once again. He shouted out excitedly, Young master is mighty. The 3 pillars and the royal family were also shocked. Nangong Xiao asked with doubt, how did Long Lin die? Zhuge Tianlong muttered, mysterious steps, quick movements, coupled with his probably earth stage or higher cultivation technique, the power unleashed killed Long Lin. Li Chongtian also said in shock, I never thought that Long Fei would actually have such explosive strength. Amongst the crowd, Liu Feng muttered to himself. Wind shadow step, this. Wasn't this the martial skill from the previous auction? How can he be so fast? What cultivation technique is this? Fu Shishan asked. Liu Feng said honestly, last auction, there was a set of martial skill steps that was not appraised, and then Long Fei bought it. Miss, what rank do you think was the martial skill he used? Fu Shishan slightly said, it's at least an earth stage level 8 cultivation technique. My god. He only spent 1 million to buy an earth grade 8 martial skill. Liu Feng said as his liver trembled, coincidence, it must be a coincidence. Long Zhanwu was secretly shocked, but he was not worried at all. He did not hold hope for the third stage war spirits. Long Lin, looking at Long Fei who was still standing on the stage, he asked suspiciously, "What did you say just now?" Long Fei laughed. "Long Zhanwu, didn't you just want to kill me? Come. There are still 14 more, let them come." Long Zhanwu was still a little confused. He asked, "Are you saying that you want to challenge all the remaining participants?" Long Fei laughed. "This will save the trouble." As soon as he finished speaking, the entire arena was shocked. "Is he crazy? Aren't you being too arrogant? Young master, don't mess around. Ha ha ha. You are so arrogant after killing a mere level 3 war spirit. Do you really think you are a dragon god warrior?" Shock. Long Fei was stupid. A challenger with a cultivation of war spirit of the first rank challenging 14 people, he is courting death. Nangong Yang disdainfully said, "He's so arrogant just by killing a dragon forest. If not, wouldn't he be called trash? In my opinion, he's not even trash. Dad, no matter what, I won't marry someone like him." Nangong Yang looked down on Long Fei with all his might. From her point of view, Long Fei's actions were simply courting death. Nangong Xiao laughed. "Little sister Yang, don't worry, he will die on the stage soon, he won't have a life to marry you." Arrogant. Too arrogant. However, Long Zhanwu began to laugh, and said, "All right, this is your own choice, so you can't blame me for it." As soon as the words left his mouth. "Next, I'll do it." A silhouette suddenly moved and jumped onto the arena. But, without waiting for him to land on the ground, Long Fei moved his wind shadow step and kicked out. Bam! That person was kicked and sent flying more than 10 meters away. He was hanging on the roof as blood spewed out of his mouth. His body twitched a few times before he died. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei. The system beep sounded again. Long Fei's gaze did not move at all. Who's next? I'll do it. This time, the disciple was smarter. He didn't fly up onto the stage and instead walked step by step onto it. It was also at this time. Level 4 War Spirit. Long Fei made a weird noise in his throat as he activated the power of the toading skill. Dragon Temple coldly snorted, "Trash." Before he could even finish his second word, Long Fei suddenly appeared in front of him. Bam! It landed directly on the Dragon Temple's 2 ears. Bam! Phut! Blood spurted out from his mouth as his body slowly fell to the ground. Long Fei kicked him and sent him flying, yelling arrogantly, "Continue." Chapter 57 F***CK. Who else is there? Chapter 57 F***CK. Who else is there? Just as he was worrying that there was no place for his striking energy value to increase. He was just worrying about not having a place to level up. Long Fei simply would not let anyone go, because to him, Long Zhanwu's disciples were all experience. True breath and energy values. How could he miss it? Are there any monsters in the game that I can kill? Are you going to level up or not? Is there a treasure that won't explode? Then what's the difference between this and an idiot? After killing 3 people consecutively, Long Zhanwu was so angry that his beard and eyes were popping out, as he shouted solemnly, "All of you go, kill him. Give the order." The 11 Long clan disciples rushed to the arena together. Except for Long Fu, who was hiding in the crowd, he did not move. And Long Fei's gaze was also constantly watching him. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The 11 disciples of the Long family quickly surrounded Long Fei. "Brat, you asked for it. No shit, kill him. Let's go together. I really want to see just how strong he is, a waste of negative activation to dragon blood." In that instant, the 11 of them started to move. All of them were at least War Spirit level 4, releasing their battle chi to form a pressure that could crush Xiong Longfei. The 4 disciples all took out their weapons and attacked Xiong Longfei. He's too arrogant. I've never seen such an arrogant person before. He's simply courting death. He doesn't know how to hide himself at all, but with this kind of personality, he won't be able to live for long. Nangong Xiao laughed coldly. "I had thought that brat was smart, but it turns out he was just a fool." Li Chongtian also laughed. "Your Highness is right, Long Fei is overestimating himself. A level 1 war spirit challenging 11 experts, he thought he was just playing around. Nangong Lei did not speak, but Nangong Yang laughed disdainfully. It's best if he dies. If he dies, then the marriage contract bestowed upon him by Imperial Uncle will become void of its own accord, and I don't have to bother with this piece of trash anymore. Zhuge Jianqiang clenched his swollen mouth and said fiercely, "Go and die quickly." No one favored Long Fei. Because Long Fei was really too arrogant. Even some of the elders of the Long family shook their heads and sighed. Long Shan and the others could only bitterly smile. This young master was too impulsive. A pleased sneer surfaced on Long Zhanwu's face. "Long Fei, you're too arrogant. This is perfect, I don't need to use killers to deal with you." Ha ha ha. A wild and complacent laugh came out from Long Zhanwu's mouth. In the arena, Long Fei was forced to retreat, unable to withstand the waves of attacks. The moment the disciples of the Long family attacked, they immediately retreated, and the attacks from behind went to the street, not giving Long Fei any time to catch his breath. The application of the war of attrition was extremely thorough. Long Fei had already been forced to the edge of the stage. He frowned and sneered, "I've really underestimated you underlings of Long Zhanwu." Suddenly, a figure was sent flying. "Long Fei, go and die." The blade came slashing down. At the same time, the 8 people facing Long Fei made their moves at the same time, sealing off all of Long Fei's escape routes. At this moment, Long Fei was unable to defend against the attacks of the 8 people even if he blocked the attacks from the top of his head. The other 2 people continued to use their battle chi to crush Long Fei, causing his mind to be in a state of chaos. Dead. He was in dire straits. Ha ha ha. Long Fei, you're dead for sure. There's no retreat. He's too arrogant. He's dead for sure. Nangong Yang was even more so happy and started laughing. "It's good that you're dead, it's good that you're dead, he." Nangong Lei slightly said, "There's no way to defend." Defense. The corner of Long Fei's mouth drew back, revealing a cold smile. "An attack is the best defense." As soon as he finished, top quality sword teeth tiger spell note, go. A talisman shot out, straight towards the disciple in the air. In the midst of the lightning dragon Salya technique, a new set of large power King Kong ape's ribs appeared in Long Fei's hand. The ribs bent, shaped like Tang Dao, and with the ribs as the blade, the dragon Salya technique was released consecutively. Roar. A wind attribute sword teeth tiger rushed out and directly threw that disciple who was in the air to the ground, opened its blood basin and fiercely bit down. His neck was bitten off. Blood sprayed wildly. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing. Instant kill. At the same moment, the bone blade in Long Fei's hand slashed, but did not keep the blade chi. It was directly released, the blade chi shot out in the shape of a half moon. Roar. A furious voice of a large power King Kong ape sounded. 8 moves in a single strike. The 8 of them were directly sent flying. The might of a divine rank martial skill was extraordinary. Adding on the powerful strength of the large power King Kong ape, it was extremely brutal within the blade energy. The 8 of them were overturned. Tiny rippling steps. Activating true breath, his speed was raised to the limit. He put away the blade. Open the skin, crack. Ah! A person's body was split in half, and he died instantly. Ding. The system sounded out. Tendon break. Crunch. Ding. Instant kill. Break the bones. Crack. 1 slash, 1 kill, almost in a second. 8 consecutive slashes, all in 1 kill. At this moment, everyone was dumbfounded. As they watched everything happening in the arena, they couldn't help but rub their eyes. What just happened? What had happened? An illusion. This was definitely an illusion. This is impossible. Those people who had mocked that Long Fei would die, especially Nangong Yang, who looked as if he had been ruthlessly slapped twice by someone, all turned green and flushed red. His expression was exceptionally unsightly. It was the same for the people from the 3 heavens pillars. Long Zhanwu had an even more foolish expression on his face. Seeing his own disciple being killed by Long Fei in an instant like how a radish cabbage was killed by a single slash from Long Fei, he could not believe the reality in front of his eyes. No matter how strong a level 1 war spirit was, it couldn't be this strong. What was going on? What kind of saber technique was he training in? Too powerful. What had happened in the short span of half a year? Long Zhanwu's heart was in a mess. This was the first time he was in a panic. From the beginning till the end, he had never placed Long Fei in his eyes, but now, he looked at Long Fei with contempt. He felt a chill in his heart. After killing the 8 people, Long Fei's entire body was already drenched in blood. Staring at the remaining 2, the corners of his mouth drew back, revealing his bloody teeth as he laughed sinisterly. Plop, plop. The 2 of them knelt down immediately, trembling in fear, and said immediately, Long Fei, don't kill me. Long Zhanwu is an old dog. Long Zhanwu will die a horrible death. Long Zhanwu is being suppressed. Long Fei, I've said it, I've scolded Long Zhanwu, I beg you to spare my life. Not waiting for them to finish. Long Fei hacked down with his blade, and said with a deep voice, this old one hates people who use pressure to crush me the most. Do you think that your realm is amazing? F***CK. 1 hit 2, instant kill, ding, ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing. 2 notifications sounded. Long Fei pointed his bone blade straight at Long Zhanwu's face, his entire body releasing his spirit chi. He bellowed, damn it, who else is there? Chapter 58, 150 slashes, kill. Chapter 58, 150 slashes, kill. His voice shook the heavens. It was like a thunderclap that struck into the hearts of everyone present. Unwell. It was very uncomfortable. The people who mocked Long Fei were like people who had eaten flies. The feeling of being stuck in their throats and unable to be spit out was too unbearable. Especially the people from 3 Pillars and the royal family, they felt as if their faces had been ruthlessly slapped by Long Fei. It was extremely painful, extremely painful. Long Fei's eyes sank, and said arrogantly, so what if you have negative activation to dragon blood? So what if the pubes is broken? So what if your tendons and veins are in a state of depression? Mocking that your father is trash. You too are worthy of that. Heh! Once again, he roared out in rage, venting the anger in his heart. He was displeased from the moment he tested Long Fei's dragon blood activation, and suppressed a ball of fury in his heart. Facing the mockery of the 3 Pillars and the imperial family, and facing the disappointment of the Long family members, he was even more displeased. At that time, he had hidden his strength, precisely because he wanted to tell the Long family's disciples that dragon blood activation could not represent everything. Pubes cannot represent everything. It was impossible for his tendons to be blocked. He wanted to tell everyone that the Long family would never give in to any difficulties. The entire hall was silent. Everyone was staring at Long Fei, who was on the stage. At this moment, the Long family's unity once again gathered together, with Long Fei as the core. At this moment, nearly everyone in the Long family recognized young Master Long Fei's position, and everyone started to worship him. Because he had created a miracle. Because his name was Long Fei, the young master of the Long family. Suddenly, Long Zhanwu said coldly, Long Fei, don't get cocky too early. As soon as he finished, Long Zhanwu bellowed, Long Fu, kill him, kill him. In the blink of an eye, a demonic shadow rushed out from the crowd and released the conical shadow technique from his palms. At this moment, Long Fei laughed coldly in a complacent manner. I've been waiting for you for such a long time, you've finally made your move. He had been paying attention to Long Fu from the beginning. From the moment of his examination, Long Fei had already guessed that he was the assassin hidden amongst the Long family disciples. After killing the 14 Long family disciples, Long Fei was even more certain in his heart. At the same time, he also believed what the female assassin said. I didn't lie to him. The ball of black shadows trembled. It was obviously him who had ambushed Long Fei, but he was still. An ominous feeling rose in his heart, as if he had fallen into Long Fei's trap. He was a killer with a keen sense of smell. His years of killing experience had taught him that only by saving his life could he complete the mission. The machine broke down. He suddenly turned around and charged in another direction. However, Long Fei laughed coldly. Too late. The blade aura accumulated from the 7 moves of the Dragon Salya technique suddenly moved. From the moment he attacked, he had been accumulating blade aura, with the aim of dealing with Long Fu. Dragon Chop. Ding. Triggering the spatial ring's luck attribute will increase the damage of the Dragon Chop by 100%. Heh. Then your fate is really bad. Long Fei was secretly shocked. He did not expect to trigger the luck attribute. Clenching his teeth, he roared fiercely. 150 slashes. Boom. Long Fei held onto the blade with both of his hands as the true breath surged. He released all the true breath and roared, "Get on the ground, whoosh whoosh whoosh, asterisk whoosh whoosh whoosh, asterisk." The first layer of blade energy was released and Long Fu was lifted into the air. Immediately following that, the 149 layers of blade energy slashed down in an instant. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, asterisk whoosh whoosh whoosh, asterisk. The saber chi slashed crazily on Long Fu's body like a knife cutting through butter. In a split second, Long Fu's body was completely shattered. A torrential rain of blood spurted out from his body. The surrounding people looked up at the sky. He could feel the destructive power of the saber. Each one of them was completely crushed by this saber energy and could not move at all. Bam! The assassin's body split apart. It was chopped into pieces. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Long Fu, for obtaining 150,000 experience, 1,000 true breath and 10 energy values. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 20 million silver notes. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Hell's Magic. Do you wish to cultivate it? Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, level 2 War Spirit. The system beep sounded continuously. He was surprised to find that he had 150,000 experience points. It was simply too satisfying to directly level up. You know. Once Long Fei leveled up, all of his stats were fully filled. True breath slot fully recovered. Martial arts arena, be quiet. It was deathly quiet, so quiet that it made people panic. It was shocking to have beheaded 14 disciples at once, but in the end, Long Fei released a dragon chop that was completely shocking, beyond compare. 150 layers of saber chi, arrogant saber chi, domineering saber chi. It was as if they could really kill a divine dragon. An existence that was so cool that it could even explode. Was this something a human could do? He was simply a god. Long Fei stood on the stage, his gaze sweeping across the entire arena, and growled, "Who else? Long Zhanwu, who else?" Long Zhanwu's body trembled slightly. The aura coming from his body made him feel uncomfortable. He was an expert of the War Chief realm, but he was being crushed by Long Fei, who was in the War Spirit realm. It could only be said that the dragon chop was too domineering. At this moment. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for completing the family contest quest with a reward of 100,000 experience points, 1,000 true breath, 500 points, Battle Dragon Armor, Earth Stage. Ding. Do you want to use the Dragon Battle Armor? Use it. Long Fei did not hesitate at all and immediately wore the War Dragon Armor. He urgently needed defense right now. After putting on the Dragon Battle Armor, Long Fei's entire body was covered with the aura of War Dragon. This was a thick defensive chi, and the Battle Dragon Armor was too cool. The 2 dragons were coiled on his back, like wings. He was a complete mess. Of course. Only Long Fei himself could see. At this moment, Long Shan shouted hysterically, "Young Lord, mighty young Lord, domineering young Lord, long live the young Lord. The young Lord is mighty, the young Lord is domineering, long live the young Lord." At the same time, the entire Long family's disciples roared. "The young Lord is mighty, the young Lord is domineering, long live the young Lord." Too cool. He was so handsome that he dropped to the ground. Who still mocked Long Fei as a trash? Who else would dare? At the same time, the doors to the 2 secret chambers of the Long family opened. Long Fei stared coldly at Long Zhanwu, and said, "You spent 50 million to hire a killer to kill me. In Fire Wolf Valley, the Long Fu that died just now, you are truly vicious. I am your nephew, yet you hired a killer to assassinate me. How did I offend you?" Did I fuck your wife or your daughter? You want to do this to me? Long Zhanwu was so angry that his entire body was trembling, his teeth chattered loudly, and he roared loudly, Long Fei. Why are you calling me daddy? Long Fei heaved a heavy sigh, and said word by word, since you want to kill me, all right then, Long Zhanwu, today, right now, I, Long Fei, will challenge you. Chapter 59, Challenge Long Zhanwu. Chapter 59, Challenge Long Zhanwu. With that, it immediately caused a sensation. Challenge the Great Elder? Is he crazy? Does he not know that the Great Clan Elder is a level 7 expert of the War Chief? To challenge the War Chief? It's simply impossible. Young Master, don't be rash, don't be rash. It exploded in the entire martial arts arena. Who would have thought that Long Fei would actually want to challenge Long Zhanwu? Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Long Zhanwu laughed, and laughed sinisterly. Challenge me? Long Fei, you're the one who is courting death, so don't blame me for this. He was just worrying that he could not find a chance to get rid of Long Fei. He did not expect to actually challenge him without knowing his own capabilities. This is simply asking the heavens to help me. Moreover, this was a challenge that Long Fei had initiated, so he could only blame himself for killing it. No way. Long Shan immediately rushed to the arena and said, Great Elder, what young lord said just now was a joke, it doesn't count. And then, Long Shan pulled Long Fei and was about to leave the stage, saying in a low voice, Young Master, Long Zhanwu's cultivation is too terrifying, you cannot be his opponent. Not waiting for him to finish. Wang. A burst of qi burst out from Long Zhanwu's body, forming a powerful battle qi attack, directly smashing onto Long Shan's back. He coldly snorted and said, Who do you think you are? Get out of my way. Bam. Long Shan could not defend against the impact of the War Chief realm at all and was sent flying. After flying for more than 10 meters, he heavily crashed into the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face immediately turned pale white. What a powerful battle qi. Long Zhanwu is a strong warrior at the peak of the Long family. The War Chief realm is extremely powerful, especially the control of battle qi, which is not something that the war spirit can withstand. This time, Long Fei is going to suffer. With one move, Long Zhanwu sent Long Shan flying. The strong battle qi made people feel fear. Long Fei's heart sank and thought to himself, what a powerful strength, looks like I've underestimated Long Zhanwu. Long Fei's figure moved. He landed beside Long Shan and asked him to consume a highest grade medicine powder, then looked at Long Zhanwu, who was already standing on the stage. Long Shan pulled on Long Fei's clothes and said, Young Master, don't fight with him. Please don't. Long Fei, come up and die. Long Zhanwu said arrogantly, the challenge was made by you. If I don't teach this bastard a lesson today, I, Long Zhanwu, will write backwards. He had to kill Long Fei. Today, Long Fei had greatly damaged his power. If he did not get rid of Long Fei, it would become a huge problem in the future. Moreover, Long Fei was very popular now. Once he had won over the hearts of the Long family's disciples, he would definitely be trapped in the Long family. If Long Fei didn't die, then he wouldn't be able to become the Long family's patriarch. In any case, even Long Fei had to die. His potential was too great. If he had more time, he might not even be able to suppress him. Long Shan did his best to pull Long Fei back, and said, Young Master, you can't go. The other disciples of the Long family did the same. Young Master, you can't fight with him. Young Master, don't be rash. Young Master, please listen to us. Long Zhanwu's strength was too terrifying. How could the realm of war spirit be a match for the War Chief realm? It was also at this moment. Nangong Yang suddenly sneered, and said disdainfully, You don't keep your words, so what kind of man are you acting like? Long Fei, you really make me look down on you. Zhuge Zhenqiang mocked, Princess, I never thought that your fiancé would be this kind of trash, it really broadens my horizons. Nangong Xiao also laughed, You are afraid of death, this is the nature of humans, the people from the Long family are the same. Li Chongtian said, I thought he was different, but he's actually such a cowardly person. It's just that everyone in the Fire Glass City knows what we said just now, and even if we don't keep our promises, The young master of the Long family has his principles. Ha ha ha. The power Long Fei released was too strong. Even his negative activation to dragon blood made them feel that he was a threat, even more so than that genius Long Fei. They all felt fear in their hearts. At the same time, they couldn't wait for Long Fei to die. Especially Nangong Yang, she had been very clear about what she had done this past year. She definitely could not turn back, and since she could not, she would ruthlessly trample Long Fei to death. Stepping on Long Fei, her sense of superiority was even more obvious, and even more so, her nobility. What a great method of provocation. Long Fei slowly walked out from the crowd, his gaze fixed on 3 pillars and the rest as he sneered, "Didn't you guys just want to see me die?" Nangong Yang slightly said, "The challenge was made by you. I don't want my future husband to be someone who goes back on his words. If you have the guts to say it, then you have the ability to do it." Long Fei looked at Nangong Yang. Indeed. Nangong Yang was very beautiful, no matter if it was her appearance, body, or even her voice, she could not help but be intoxicated by it. However, her heart was even more venomous than snakes and scorpions. The corners of Long Fei's mouth turned cold as he smiled. "Don't worry, I will definitely do as I say. Little Yang, our wedding will be in 3 years. At that time, I will definitely cherish you." Well revealed an evil and cold smile when he said the word cherish. Everyone knew what the 2 words cherish meant. Nangong Yang's eyes tensed up, her fists clenched, her face filled with anger, but she could not release it, and roared out in her heart, "Long Fei, you are just a waste with negative activation to dragon blood. How could you possibly have me? Dream on, it's impossible to do it in this lifetime. I want to end the engagement, I want to end it." As the wedding day got closer and closer, she longed for Long Fei to die as soon as possible. Nangong Lei lightly coughed, and said with a low voice, "Yanga, restrain yourself." He couldn't explode in front of so many people. And then, Nangong Lei smiled faintly, and said, "Long Fei, there's still 3 years of time, you can do it. Right. Don't tell me you want to avoid clan elder Long Zhanwu's challenge. If you want to avoid it, I, Nangong Lei, will definitely do everything I can to protect you. But Yanga has always liked strong people since she was young. I'm afraid she would hate you if you were to act like this." His words still angered Long Fei. In their eyes, Long Fei was just a 16-year-old youngster. He was hot-blooded, young, and arrogant. Long Fei laughed. "Father, don't worry. I said that I will definitely challenge Long Zhanwu, so I hope that your 3 pillars and the royal family can take a good look. I, Long Fei, have returned. From today onwards, if anyone in the Fire Glass dynasty dares to harm the Long family, hehe." Suddenly, Long Fei roared fiercely, "I, Long Fei, will definitely tear him into 10,000 pieces and destroy the clan he belongs to." While they were talking, Long Fei's body released a dense killing intent. It was also at this time, Long Fei leaped fiercely, and landed heavily on the stage. He stared at Long Zhanwu, and said, "It's exactly because the Long family has people like to fight amongst themselves that they became like this, and is why they were looked down upon. Is it possible that you, the patriarch of the Long family, are also worthy to be the Marquis of God Dragon?" The muscles at the corner of Long Zhanwu's eyes trembled, the killing intent in his eyes was extremely strong. He suddenly released the war chief's battle energy, his fists shook, and he punched Xiong Long Fei. Long Fei was in no hurry, as a talisman landed between his fingers. Flood Dragon Long Fei's heavenly talisman, go. Chapter 60, This Old Man is Being Arrogant Again. Chapter 60, This Old Man is Being Arrogant Again. Flood Dragon Long Fei's heavenly talisman. Instant kill of all experts below the 5th stage of War Chief. There was no suspense. But Long Zhanwu was at the 7th level of War Chief, not one that he could instantly kill. However, even if the Flood Dragon Long Fei's heavenly talisman could not kill him instantly, it would still be able to harm him. A talisman exploded in mid-air, and immediately, the roar of a flood dragon sounded. A flood dragon rushed out of the talisman, and directly wrapped itself around Long Zhanwu, biting down with its bloody mouth wide open. Dragon? Is that the same sound as last time's dragon roar? No, that's not a dragon. It's a flood dragon. This talisman. The power is simply too great. How could he have such a powerful talisman? The crowd was shocked. The three sisters of the Heaven sect who were at the corner of the training grounds all this time became extremely excited. Xiao Tiantian fiercely shouted, "Kill him, me." Yi Ziyan also followed. "These people are looking forward to Long Fei's death, it's too hateful, especially that Nangong Yang, he looks like he deserves a beating, it makes me unhappy." Liu Luoshi, on the other hand, looked at the flood dragon's talisman, and was incomparably shocked in his heart. Not all demon beasts' blood essence could be assimilated into talismans. Not to mention being able to refine top-grade talismans. To Liu Luoshi, Long Fei was just too strong. In the arena, Long Zhanwu was also caught off guard. He never thought that Long Fei would actually have such a powerful talisman, however. After all, he was an expert of the War Chief realm. A few seconds later, Long Zhanwu bellowed, "Dragon break!" Ha! With a leap, he flew into the air and punched towards the dragon. He sneered, "Long Fei, have you forgotten that our ancestor of the Long family was able to kill the dragon god? Our Long family's blood contains dragon blood essence. What can a mere dragon do to me?" Rumble. 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 Awoo! The dragon let out a blood-curdling screech. The shadow slowly dissipated, until it completely disappeared. The Long family was a dragon-slaying family. After so many years, the blood essence within his body hadn't changed at all. The dragon break was a martial skill that had been developed by even giant dragons. It could be broken with a single move. Long Fei did not expect this. The instant the flood dragon's talisman was broken, Long Zhanwu didn't stop at all. His figure was like lightning, his two fists charged, and with a heavy roar, he shouted, "Dragon break." Second move, descending dragon for life, whoosh whoosh. Asterisk the battle chi wreaked havoc, the wind of his fists were like thunder, and Long Zhanwu's aura seemed to be able to suppress Xiong Longfei like mountains and overturn seas. It was too fast. The difference in levels was simply too great. Long Fei kept locking onto Long Zhanwu's position, but he was completely unable to keep up with Long Zhanwu's speed, and Long Zhanwu's speed had completely exceeded what he could endure. Level. This was the difference in levels. At this moment, Liu Luoshi was about to rush out. Xiao Tiantian shouted loudly, "Long Fei, be careful." Yi Ziyan's heart clenched, her eyes tightly shut, not daring to look any further. "Break!" Long Zhanwu roared angrily as both his fists moved like thunder, heavily smashing onto Long Fei's chest. Long Fei moved, King Kong shield. Buzz. Rumble. The Battle Dragon aura on the Battle Dragon armor released a dense defense, while the King Kong shield S blocked half of Long Zhanwu's attacks. Even so, Long Fei was still sent flying. Bam! After smashing onto the ground, Long Fei spat out a mouthful of fresh blood, and then, with another heavy smack, he stood up with a leap. Long Zhanwu trembled slightly. He actually didn't die. "You have an armor-type spiritual treasure on you. That must be it." Long Zhanwu believed in his own strength. Anyone in the war spirit realm would not be able to withstand it, and not only was Long Fei able to withstand it, he also could only spit out a mouthful of blood. Then there was only one reason: he had a treasure armor on him. As soon as the voice fell, everyone was shocked. Armor spirit treasures were extremely difficult to come by. Even yellow rank armor spirit treasures were priced at over 10 million. Huff! Long Fei heaved a sigh of relief, controlled his aura, and raised his head to swallow a healing pellet. At the same time, he also swallowed a true pill. At the same time, he checked the properties. "I only have 1,500 true breath left." Long Fei raised his eyes, stared at Long Zhanwu, his mouth twitched, and sneered, 15 seconds. "Huh!" Long Zhanwu was startled, and said, "What 15 seconds? Long Fei laughed coldly, "You still have 15 seconds to live." "Ha ha ha! Long Fei, there must be a limit to your arrogance." Long Zhanwu laughed out loud, "Even if you have the armored spirit treasure, so what? Dragon break." Third move, dragon subduing soul annihilation. He took a step forward. The battle energy on Long Zhanwu's body released a heavy rumbling sound, and like a dragon's roar, his body moved like lightning, with one step rushing towards Xiong Longfei. It was too fast. It was better to look at the source. However, Longfei grinned. Wu Shuang. Open. Wang. The resonance of energy within his body sounded out, and soon, his body was on the verge of collapsing as he released his attribute power. Unrivaled open. The true breath consumed 100 points per second. At this moment, the aura around Longfei's body abruptly changed. Clenching both of his fists tightly, his strength seemed to have substance as he was firmly grasped within his hands. At this moment, Longfei was completely different. Strength, agility, attack, all attributes were doubled. At first, he could not see Long Zhanwu's movement trajectory clearly, but now, all of their gazes were fixated on him. Boom! The sound of strength clashing resounded. Longfei laughed out wildly. Awesome. Immediately, his right arm moved as he gathered his strength, mountain hit fists. Bam! With a leap, he collided head-on with Long Zhanwu. Punch against punch. Rumble. Energy shot in all directions, causing Long Zhanwu to be sent flying. Longfei was the same. Long Zhanwu's eyes turned sinister as he roared in anger. Dragon break, fourth move. Longfei was also displeased, as he shouted in a low voice. Mountain hit fist, again. Bam. Ding. Congratulations to player Longfei for triggering large power King Kong Ape's power. Your strength has increased by 200%. This was the attribute of luck. The veins on Longfei's right fist bulged, his fist sliced through the air, and once again smashed forward. Bam! Rumble! Crack! The joints of Long Zhanwu's fist had completely shattered, and his entire arm was going numb. This time, he was sent flying backwards, with shock in both his eyes. Impossible, absolutely impossible. You're not Longfei, so you wouldn't have such a powerful strength. At this moment, tiny rippling steps. Shua. Longfei glided forward, and before Long Zhanwu could fall, both his fists punched out once again. Bang, bang. Long Zhanwu was struck and blown into the air. Longfei leapt high into the air, arrived at the point where he was about to land, bent his knees, and smashed down with a heavy blow. Bam! Their auras were like a rainbow. The heavy blow directly caused the enormous arena to collapse. Long Zhanwu was on the verge of death in the ruins. At this moment, ding! The true breath is insufficient. The peerless attribute has disappeared. Longfei's body regained his normal aura, and he stepped on Long Zhanwu's head, framing Laozi again. You dare be so arrogant for Laozi? Long Zhanwu laughed madly, and said, Longfei, your aura has recovered. Do you think you can kill this daddy just by relying on your current state? Ha ha ha. Trash from the negative activation to dragon blood. How could you possibly kill me? Your father wasn't worthy of that year. At this moment, Longfei clenched his teeth, opened his right hand, and sneered, Indeed, I cannot kill you in my current state, but he can kill you. Dragon Salia, come out. Chapter 61, Long Family's Supreme Elder. Chapter 61, Long Family's Supreme Elder. The true breath was exhausted, and his spirit was exhausted. It was indeed difficult for Longfei to kill him with his own strength. This was the difference in realms. However, under Longfei's furious roar, an incomparably domineering and broken blade fell into Longfei's hands. Boom! 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 A resonating sound of power appeared in the air. Long Zhanwu's eyes nearly bulged out as he said, Impossible, impossible, absolutely impossible. The dragon Salia disappeared for several thousand years. You can't find it. No, no, absolutely impossible. Unbelievable. What did Dragon Salia mean? The Long family's supreme elder. It was above the Grand Elder. Once the Dragon Salia appeared, who dared to disobey? It was the supreme existence of the Long family, a supreme faith, and also the spiritual refuge of the Long family. At this moment, everyone in the Long family fell silent. Three pillars and Nangong Xiao stood up abruptly. Their eyes were filled with shock, jealousy, and hatred that could not be hidden. Long Fei clenched both his hands, the Dragon Salia raised above his head, and growled, Did he kill you? No. Long Fei, you can't kill me. I'm your uncle, I'm the great clan elder. You can't kill me, you don't have the qualifications to kill me. Long Zhanwu's voice trembled, he had never been as afraid as he was now. Under the dragon's salure, even his soul was trembling. At this moment, Long Fei hacked down with his blade. I'll let you know what qualifications are, die. Hua. With a slash of his blade, the dragon's salure let out a dragon-slaying roar. Roar. Ah! Long Zhanwu's body was split into two, his entire being was instantly killed, not even a trace of blood could be seen on the dragon's salure. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Long Zhanwu for obtaining 250,000 experience, 3,000 true breath and 10 energy values. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Dragon Break. Do you wish to cultivate it? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 30 million silver notes. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Sky Dragon Pellet. The notifications exploded continuously. Long Fei did not care about what Long Zhanwu revealed, but his eyes darkened instead. With great force, he carried the dragon's salure on his shoulders and asked solemnly, who else? Who still refuses to accept this? Come on up. Overbearing and matchless. His eyes were like torches, the tyrannical aura on his body combined with the dragon's salure on his shoulders, his entire being was extremely eye-catching. It crushed the entire martial arts training field. It was also at this time. Long Zhanye suddenly shouted, where is the law enforcement hall? Ha! Long Zhanye's eyes were bloodshot as he stared at Long Fei who was on the stage, and shouted, killing the disciples of the Long family and killing the great clan elder of the Long family, Long Fei, you are a homicidal maniac, you are not worthy of being a member of the Long family, go all out and take your place. The law enforcement hall was Long Zhanye's power. They all obeyed his orders. Although they were a little hesitant in their hearts, they still all rushed up and quickly surrounded the arena. The long spear moved, shouting in unison, kill, kill. At the same time, Long Shan raised his arms and asked, where are the Long family's imperial guards? Ha! Half of the Long family's martial arts arena all shouted in unison. Long Shan shouted, protect the young lord. Next. The disciples of the Long family quickly surrounded the law enforcement hall. There were at least 3 times more people than law enforcement hall. At this moment, Zhuge Tianlong laughed coldly, then said, General Li, Prince Nangong, Prince of Nangong, this is a good opportunity, they will fight later, and once they do. Li Chongtian sneered, Brother Zhuge is thinking the same thing as me, it all depends on Prince Nangong now. Nangong Lei did not speak. Nangong Yang said coldly, kill. Nangong Xiao smiled slightly and said, this prince will not participate, but the things that have happened today will definitely not be spread out. Those outside will only know that Long Fei has been killed by the law enforcement hall. He. Zhuge Tianlong laughed. Although this child does not have the dragon god's blood essence, the speed at which he grows up is too fast. He actually found the supreme artifact of the Long family. This kid must not be allowed to live. Killing intent rose in his heart. They understood Long Fei's threat very well. Compared to the dragon god warriors of the past, it was even more dangerous. The most crucial point was that once Long Zhanwu died, Long Fei would have full control of the Long family. With the dragon salure at his command, he would be able to control the Long family's army, and the Long family would definitely unite under his lead. They all understood in their hearts. Long Fei cannot stay. Right now, as long as this battle royal had begun, they would immediately use their full power to kill Long Fei, so as to eliminate any future troubles. All of a sudden, the atmosphere in the martial arts arena was tense and no one dared to act rashly. In the corner, Xiao Tiantian could not hold it in and immediately rushed out. His body moved, landing on the ruined stage, and shouted, if anyone dares to touch this bastard, I, Xiao Tiantian, will be the first one to not let him go. Senior sister? Yi Ziyan didn't care that much, she also landed beside Long Fei and shouted, if anyone dares to touch Long Fei, I won't let him go either. At this moment, Liu Luoshi struck out with his sword, his figure descending like a fairy, and said, Sky Sect's Liu Luoshi, no one can touch him. The appearance of the 3 sisters from the Heaven Sect shocked the entire audience. The Heaven Sect was like a giant. Their appearance caused the hearts of Long Zhanye and the people from the 3 pillars to tremble, and the space between their eyebrows knitted tightly. It was at this moment. Fu Shishan walked out from the crowd and said solemnly, "Fu Shishan from the Fengyuan Merchant Union, no one can touch him." As soon as his voice faded, another heavyweight bomb exploded. Long Zhanye's forehead was drenched in cold sweat. The people from the 3 pillars were even more so apprehensive. The people of the Heaven sect were actually helping Long Fei? Moreover, even the Fengyuan Merchant Union, which never interfered with the family's competition, protected Long Fei. Furthermore, it was Fu Shishan who personally appeared. She was the daughter of the Fengyuan Merchant Union's leader. She would represent the entire Fengyuan Merchant Union. The crowd automatically opened up a path, allowing Fu Shishan to pass through with his veil on. Long Fei was grateful in his heart as he said, "Thank you." At this moment, things had already gone beyond their expectations. Long Zhanye looked at Zhuge Tianlong. Zhuge Tianlong said in a deep voice, "Long Fei committed an offense while being a disciple of the Long family. He ruthlessly killed his fellow clansmen and even killed the great clan elder on the spot. He has already violated the rules of the Long family and the laws of the Fireglass dynasty." Li Chongtian said slightly, "Long Fei, are you just going to surrender? Or do you want us to do it ourselves?" Nangong Yang's face was extremely ugly, because none of the 4 women around Long Fei were beneath her, so she was very unhappy and immediately replied, "Why are you wasting words with him? Just kill him." Extremely vicious. The atmosphere immediately became tense. Many people were sweating profusely. Long Zhanye shouted, "Men, give me." Not waiting for him to finish, a deep voice came crashing down from the sky, "Who wants to bully my obedient grandson?" Chapter 62, Grand Elder's Might. Chapter 62, Grand Elder's Might. As the sound of his voice faded, the entire audience was stunned. Originally, the disciples of the Law Enforcement Hall could not bear it any longer when facing the Heaven sect. As the voice sounded, their bodies began to tremble. Many people dropped the steel spears in their hands. Grand Master is out. Lunatic Long has come out, Grand Elder." The voice from earlier was Long Sanfeng. They were also known as Crazy Dragon in the outside world. With that said, Long Sanfeng walked out of the room with his body naked, his eyes squinted as though he was smiling, but to some people, it was the smile of death. Behind him followed another person, Long Zhanhai. It was unknown why Long Fei felt wronged in his heart when he saw Long Sanfeng, but both of his eyes became wet. He could not help but say, "Grandfather, if there was anyone in this world who was good to him other than Jojo, then that person would be the Grand Elder of the Long family, Long Sanfeng. And also Long Fei's grandfather." Long Sanfeng looked at the dragon Salya on Long Fei's shoulder, then looked at him with tears in his eyes, and emotionally said, Good, Xiao Fei has grown up." The excitement in his heart could not be put into words. "Greetings, Grand Elder. Greetings, Patriarch." All the disciples of the Long family knelt down in worship. Long Zhanye also knelt down, and said, "Grand Elder, Patriarch, Long Fei, he." Not waiting for him to finish, Long Sanfeng's gaze wavered as he suddenly took action. His figure moved like lightning and landed beside Long Zhanye, sending him flying with a palm strike. Bam! Long Zhanye didn't have the power to retaliate. Zhuge Tianlong frowned. "War Chief," Long Sanfeng said slightly, "get up." And then, Long Sanfeng looked at Zhuge Tianlong, and said with a smile, "Little Tianlong, is it you who wants to bully my good grandson?" As soon as his voice faded, boom, 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 his body trembled non-stop, and his legs bent slightly. In the end, he directly knelt down, and said with a pale face, "I beg that Lord Dragon is merciful. I did not want to bully young Master Long, please observe clearly." "Oh, it's not you. So that's what Little Rushing Heaven is." The moment Long Sanfeng's words fell, another wave of pressure pressed down. Li Chongtian's face was pale white, unable to resist at all. She instantly knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. "Grand Elder, please spare my life. I am only here to observe the competition. I did not do anything to the Long family. Please take a look." "Oh, It wasn't you. Is that my grandson's wife? Long Sanfeng looked at Nangong Lei and her, and in almost an instant, another pressure came crushing down. Bam! Bam! Nangong Lei and Nangong Yang instantly knelt down as well. Nangong Yang wanted to curse wildly, but he was stopped by Nangong Lei. Grand Elder, why would I do anything to my own son-in-law? I definitely won't. Nangong Yang roared angrily in his heart. Long Fei, I definitely won't let you go. Definitely not. If you want me to marry you, then you, as a waste of negative activation to dragon blood, will never be able to do so. Then, Long Sanfeng's gaze landed on Nangong Xiao's body. Nangong Xiao was so scared that his face turned pale and he immediately kneeled down. Please spare me, Grand Elder. Long Fei is my brother, I never thought of killing him. So what if he was a prince? In front of experts, they were nothing more than bullsh*t. The War Master Reem were considered the pinnacle of experts in the Fire Glass dynasty. They could not withstand the pressure at all with regards to their cultivation. As long as Long Sanfeng used a little more strength, their sea of consciousness would be crushed. This was a powerful expert. A being that disdains all existence. Zhuge Tianlong, Li Chongtian, Nangong Lei, Nangong Yang and the other 5 people kneeled on the ground as they continuously trembled, because Long Sanfeng's might was continuously increasing. They could only kneel on the ground, not daring to resist at all. Madman Long could do anything to kill them. Even the current emperor wouldn't dare to punish him, let alone the fact that this was the Long family. Long Sanfeng picked his ears and said indifferently, I seem to have heard someone just now saying that my obedient grandson broke the laws of the Fire Glass dynasty and deserved to be killed for his crimes. Li Chongtian immediately said, Grand Master, Zhuge Tianlong said this, he is in charge of the Ministry of Justice, he knows the laws best, it has nothing to do with me. Zhuge Tianlong scolded the 18 generations of Li Chongtian's ancestors in his heart, then immediately kowtowed and said, Grand Elder, I didn't say anything just now. Young Master Long has punished us all thoroughly, and helped us all get rid of this tumor. Oh, so I heard wrong. My obedient grandson is fine. Long Sanfeng's face was filled with satisfaction, but his pressure had not weakened in the slightest. Nangong Xiao immediately said with an awe-inspiring righteousness, if anyone dares to touch my brother Long Fei, this prince will be the first to take his life. If that's the case, Long Sanfeng said, then I have misunderstood you. He withdrew his aura. The 5 of them laid flat on the ground, looking as bedraggled as possible. He quickly got up. Long Sanfeng's pressure suddenly came over again. Bang, bang, bang. The 5 of them instantly knelt on the ground. The kneecap was about to break. Long Sanfeng said with a deranged look, why have you people come to my Long family? Are you saying that you have a worthy goal for plotting against my Long family? Long Fei almost laughed out loud. Zhuge Tianlong's group of 5 looked bitter, and said, Grand Elder, we were really just here to observe the competition and watch young Master Long Fei's heroic figure. How would we dare to have anything to do with the Long family? So it's like that. It seems that I was indeed mistaken in blaming you all. While they were talking, Long Sanfeng once again retracted his War Master's imposing aura, and laughed, the 3 pillars and the imperial family are here, it's been a long time since the Long family was so lively. Zhuge Tianlong and the other 4 climbed up with much difficulty. At this moment, Long Sanfeng's imposing aura came crushing down. Bang, bang, bang. Crack. This time, one of the kneecaps shattered. Gritting her teeth, she stared straight at Long Fei. She placed all of this onto Long Fei and said viciously in her heart, this princess will definitely not let you have a good time, Long Fei, just you wait and see. Aya, I'm getting old and can't control my strength anymore. Long Sanfeng acted dumb, I'm really sorry for the pressure just now. Wifey son, are you alright? Do you want me to find someone to show you? Last year, that pig's knee was broken by me. Do you want me to treat it for you? You can rest assured that it will definitely be cured. Zhonhai, was that pig from last year still alive? Long Sanfeng asked seriously, if you're still here, pull it out and let her see my medical skills. Long Zhonhai reminded, Grand Elder, that pig was eaten by you after you cooked it into a roasted suckling pig on the 2nd day. Aya, Look at my memory. Long Sanfeng laughed and said, Grandson's wife, I can really treat you. Huh? No. Forget about it, remember to come often and play with me. My good grandson will deepen our relationship. There are still 3 years until you two get married. I'm still waiting to carry my great-grandson. Hey, don't be in such a hurry to leave. Nangong Yang even had the heart to kill. Nangong Lei carried her, bowed to the grand elder, and left the Long family in a hurry. If he didn't treat Nangong Yang now, he would really become a cripple. Zhuge Tianlong also quickly left, afraid that Dragon Madman would use his pressure to crush them again. That kind of feeling was too uncomfortable. 3 pillars and the Nangong imperial family had lost a lot of face today. Chapter 63 Sequelae of Forced Release. Chapter 63 Sequelae of Forced Release. The people of 3 pillars had to leave the Long family. All the disciples of the Law Enforcement Hall had put down their weapons and surrendered. What awaited them was a series of punishments, but it wouldn't be too heavy because the Long family needed elite disciples. Long Fei's danger was also gone. Liu Luoshi said, Long Fei, it's time for us to leave as well. We need to go into closed-door cultivation during this period of time. Xiao Tiantian giggled, Bastard, you better not be bullied again, we can't follow you around every day. Yi Zian quipped, Little junior sister apprentice, you might as well come live in the Long family. Xiao Tiantian was startled, this is a good idea, Seeing Yi Zian's teasing expression, he immediately said angrily, Senior sister, you don't care about her, she always bullies me. Fu Shishan also slightly said, I should go as well. She was a little impulsive just now, but she did not regret it. Waiting for her would be the punishment from the top executives of Fengyuan Merchant Union, even if she was the daughter of the Alliance Master. From the moment she took the first step, she was ready. Long Fei thanked the 4 of them in his heart. If they hadn't suddenly appeared to support him, the chaos in the Long family would have been inevitable. At that time, the Long family wouldn't be the Long family anymore. Long Sanfeng laughed, My 4 grandsons, where are you going? Isn't the Long family your home? Wife, son. He was short of just 3 words. Xiao Tiantian's face flushed red, she suddenly liked the crazy old man, he played with the corner of her clothes, and occasionally looked at Long Fei. Waiting for Long Fei to speak. The 4 girls felt sweet in their hearts. However, only Xiao Tiantian showed it, the other 3 did not show any expression. Liu Luoshi said respectfully, Master Dragon, your grandson is Nangong Yang. We are only friends with Long Fei. We won't disturb you any longer and will be leaving first. Xiao Tiantian muttered to herself, and said, That Nangong Yang is too evil, I can't wait to tear her mouth to shreds. Without waiting for her to finish, she was pulled away by Liu Luoshi, and said in a low voice, Don't say so much. Nangong Yang is Long Fei's fiancé after all. Fu Shishan also smiled faintly and bowed before taking his leave. Long Fei secretly clenched both his fists and muttered to himself, Nangong Yang. The people of martial arts arena all dispersed. To the Long family, this was a day worth being excited about. It was a day that every Long family disciple could see hope in Diana. Many people had the thought that the Long family was about to rise again. Long Sanfeng's courtyard. After returning from the martial arts arena, the moment he stepped foot inside the courtyard, Long Sanfeng's body sank down, his legs became unsteady, and he directly fell onto the ground, spitting out a mouthful of black blood. Cold sweat broke out all over his body. His body was trembling. Long Fei was shocked, and immediately supported her. Grandfather, what's wrong? Hoo. Long Sanfeng stood up with difficulty, his face was as pale as paper, as though he had suddenly aged several tens of years, and said with great difficulty, I'm fine. At this moment, Long Zhanhai also quickly entered the courtyard and closed the door. He supported Long Sanfeng and said, forcefully release the pressure of the War Master, and it continuously crushed 5 people. Father, you still dare to say that it's all right, you almost couldn't hold on a few times, why are you suffering? Long Fei shook, and immediately asked, Uncle, what is forcefully releasing the pressure of the War Master? Has Grandpa not broken through the War Master Ream? Long Sanfeng laughed bitterly. For the past year, I have always been stuck at the peak of the 9th level of War Elder, unable to break through no matter what. Long Zhanhai said, Father, you are more clear than me that sudden change in fate requires luck, for you to forcefully release your life force like this. Cough, cough. Long Sanfeng immediately coughed, and said, My old bones still won't die that easily. Long Fei never thought that the War Master pressure his grandfather had released was actually forcibly released after crossing ranks. The pressure he had released from the War Master was just an illusion. It caused Zhuge Tianlong, the Li martial arts sect, Nangong Lei, and the royal family to feel fear. He was in existence at the peak of the War Master realm in the Fireglass City. As long as there were War Master warriors in charge, the Three Pillars family would not dare to act rashly. However, forcefully releasing this kind of fake pressure required an extremely heavy price, and Long Sanfeng clearly suffered a heavy injury. His cultivation would probably only be able to stay here for the rest of his life. More importantly, he had lost several decades of his lifespan. And then again, his current cultivation had regressed to the 6th or 7th level of the War Elder. Any expert of the 8th level of the War Elder could easily defeat him. The consequences of forcefully releasing a pressure that was above his level were too severe. Grandfather. Long Fei felt his heart ache, and was unable to say a single word. This was the person he was the closest to in this world. If he was just a little bit stronger. If he could suppress everything. Grandpa doesn't need to be like this. Thus, he would not be injured. Become strong, become strong. I must become even stronger. Long Fei swore secretly. He clenched his fists, and fresh blood dripped out of the nail and into the trap. Long Sanfeng smiled and said, Don't worry about grandfather, I'm fine. Besides, you've grown up. You don't know how happy grandfather is to see you here at the martial arts practice grounds. Your blood essence has been drawn out, the pubes has been broken, and your veins are in disarray. However, you did not give up. Use your strength to suppress Long Zhanwu, and make a large portion of the Long family's disciples howl for you, and make the Long family's might once again resound throughout the Fireglass City. Seeing this scene, even if I had to die, I would feel gratified, ha ha ha. Then he couldn't help but laugh excitedly. Cough, 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 cough. The smile was too hurried yet it kept on coughing, it was really just like an old man, causing Long Fei's heart to once again ache. And your dragon Salia. Our Long family hasn't been able to find it for thousands of years, but you found it in the end. This is all part of the will of the heavens, and it's all set in stone. Ha ha ha. While they were talking, Long Sanfeng began to laugh loudly. I'm glad. He had never been so happy in all these years. Xiao Fei, where did you find the dragon Salia? Long Zhanhai asked with doubt. Long Fei scratched his head and said, Grandfather, uncle, I also obtained it through a fortuitous encounter within the Fireglass mountain range, so from then on, I can start cultivating anew. Naturally, the matter of the system could not be revealed to anyone. As for the matter of the dragon Salia being blown off the body of the flood dragon, it was even more unspeakable. Even if they did, they wouldn't understand. Long Fei couldn't explain it either. He couldn't possibly say that he was a transcender, right? Long Sanfeng laughed, ha ha ha. Heaven has blessed my Long family, but this dragon Salia seems to be incomplete. My ancestor was blessed by the heavens to be able to find the other half. Only then can I become a supreme artifact. The Long family can last forever. Long Fei secretly clenched both his fists, and said, Grandfather, don't worry, I will definitely find the other half. Moreover, I already know where it is. The Nangong imperial family. This was the clue given by the mission, without a doubt. The other half were definitely in the Nangong imperial clan. Moreover, back then, the dragon clan's ancestor and the evil demon had both died. This was something the Nangong imperial clan had said. Was it true? Probably only the people from the Nangong imperial clan knew. Long Sanfeng held Long Fei's hand tightly and said, Good, 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 this is the descendant of the Long family. Zhanhai. Suddenly, Long Sanfeng's expression became serious. Long Zhanhai thought about what it was and immediately replied, I'm here. Long Sanfeng said in a serious tone, "From today onwards, I want you to use all the resources of the Long family to support him, protect him, and make him a divine dragon marquis." The new head of the Long family. Long Zhanhai immediately replied, "Yes, child." Chapter 64, From now on you are my shadow. Chapter 64, From now on you are my shadow. Long Sanfeng understood his own situation. In this lifetime, it would be difficult for him to step into the War Master realm, and after releasing the pressure of the War Master, he did not have much lifespan left. Before he died, he had to nurture Long Fei up. Because Long Zhanhai's potential had also reached its limit, his cultivation could only stay at the War Chief. This world was the world of the strong. The Long family needed to have a strong ranker, and Long Fei needed to quickly rise in power. The current Long family was no longer the Long family from the past. The Long family didn't have much time left. Coming out from Long Sanfeng's courtyard, Long Fei felt depressed in his heart, and asked softly, "Uncle, I do not wish to become some divine dragon marquis. With my character, I am not suitable to be the patriarch of the Long family." He didn't want to be tied down. He likes to live his own life. Once he became the Long family's head, he would have to focus on the Long family. Long Zhanhai frowned, and bellowed, "Long Fei, are you afraid?" Long Fei immediately said, "I, Long Fei, have never known what fear is, I am just." Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Long Zhanhai interrupted him and said, "I'm not afraid of what you're worried about. From the moment you were born, you were the future master of the Long family. You were born for the Long family. Don't worry, as long as the Grand Preceptor and I are here, the two of us will do everything we can to protect you. However, you don't have much time left. I'm afraid that Grand Elder." Long Zhanhai frowned, his fists clenched secretly as he sighed, "It's all my fault that my aptitude is dull, and I am unable to comprehend the concept of the War Elder, otherwise you would have been able to help Grand Elder out a bit. Hate yourself." If he could become a little stronger and become an expert of the War Elder realm, he would also be able to cause the Three Pillars and the Imperial family to feel a little more fear. "Long Fei, you must remember this. You are surnamed Long, you are a descendant of the Long family, and you shoulder the burden of the Long family's rise. No matter what happens, you must continue, resist it, even if the Grand Elder and I are no longer here, you must continue, because the descendants of the Long family will never lose, much less give up, do you understand?" Long Zhanhai said in a serious tone. It was the Long family's spirit to never admit defeat. Long Fei nodded heavily, and said, "Uncle, I understand." "Very good. In the next few days, I will plan out your training plan. Go back and prepare for it," Long Zhanhai said. Long Fei asked, "Uncle, my cultivation method is different from others. I don't need to give all my cultivation resources to me." Cultivation resources were very important to any martial artist. However, to Long Fei, the cultivation resources of the god's martial continent were not helpful to him in breaking through to the next realm. Long Zhanhai said, "You don't have to worry about these things, just follow my plan." Actually, he had not come up with a good plan yet. Moreover, he was also wondering in his heart, without the dragon blood inherent skill, how could he break through when the pubis was broken? This was a very troublesome matter for Long Zhanhai. Long Fei argued, but he did not ask any further questions. He recalled his grandfather's painful expression and could not help but ask, "Uncle, is there really no way to treat grandfather's injuries? And how can he break through the War Elder realm?" Long Zhanhai exhaled a breath of air and said, "I'm afraid that the Grand Elder's injuries will be difficult to cure completely. A healing breakthrough." He smiled bitterly and continued, "Unless I can find the dragon's blood essence and raise the Grand Elder's dragon blood activation, perhaps you will be able to break through." He himself was the same. His dragon blood activation had reached 67%, but this was far from sufficient. If he was unable to raise his dragon blood activation, it would be difficult for him to break through in his entire life. To raise one's dragon blood activation, the only way would be to use dragon blood essence. However, this dragon was the supreme being, how could he find it? Even if they did, with the current strength of the Long family, they wouldn't be able to kill a dragon. Long Fei muttered, "Dragon blood essence?" He made a mental note. He thought to himself, if I can find the dragon's blood essence, uncle will be able to break through, grandfather will also be able to recover his breakthrough, and the strength of the Long family disciples will also increase. At that time, Fireglass City will no longer dare to touch the Long family, and I will no longer need to be the Long family's master, and will be able to live freely. Long Fei made up his mind that he must find the dragon's blood essence. Returning to the thatched courtyard, Jojo welcomed him with a radiant smile, and said happily, "Young master, you're so handsome today, Everyone is talking about you." Although she did not go to the martial arts practice grounds, she had heard a lot of discussions about Long Fei. The current Long Fei was already the center of the Long family. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "When was this young master not handsome?" "Right. What about her?" Jojo smiled mischievously, and said, "Shadow Sis is inside the house." "Her name is Shadow?" Long Fei was slightly taken aback, then said, "This name isn't bad after all." Following that, Long Fei walked into the room, looked at the veiled silhouette on the bed, and said, "The highest grade medicine powder I refined should have long healed the injuries on your body, right? Stop pretending in front of me and get up." Long Fei was clearer than anyone else about the effects of the highest grade medicine powder. The figure was startled and immediately stood up. Looking at Long Fei, she said, "I'm not lying to you, right?" Long Fei looked at her. Because of her tight clothing, her figure was completely exposed, her long legs, small waist, and the twin peaks on her chest had all bulged. It was just that. There was a veil covering her face, but under the veil, there was definitely a peerless beauty. Long Fei was also interested, and said, "Take off your veil." "Huh?" The figure was startled and hesitated to answer Long Fei. Long Fei sneered, and said, "What? You don't even listen to this command? How am I going to make you do things in the future? Forget it. I won't force you. Your master has already been killed by me, and you are free to go." After Long Fei finished speaking, he turned around and was about to leave the room. "Wait." Her right hand was trembling a little as she gently took off her veil, while her eyes looked at Long Fei with a strange gaze. As expected, Long Fei's face revealed great shock. She is indeed a peerless beauty, but just that. Your expression is a little cold. With such a hot body coupled with such a peerless beauty, it was breathtakingly beautiful. Moreover, it was ice-cold and beautiful, as if it was an iceberg. Long Fei said, "Let me see you smile." The shadow's fists were tightly clenched. In the end, the corners of his mouth curled up and he lightly smiled. Just like that, he shut his mouth and said, "The veil has been removed and he is smiling. Is that okay now?" Although it was just for a moment, her smile was extremely beautiful, as if she had the beauty of eternity. Long Fei said indifferently, "From today onwards, you will be my shadow. Your veil can only be removed for me, and your smile can only be worn for me." Finished. Long Fei took out a cultivation technique from his bosom and threw it into the shadow's hands. And then, Long Fei turned and left. The silhouette was startled by the technique in his hand. Hell's magic? Looking at Long Fei's back figure, the shadow was moved. The Hell's magic had always been a cultivation technique that she wanted to cultivate, but Long Fei gave it to her without even blinking his eyes. This master was a little different from his previous master. Chapter 65 Other Half of the Dragon Salia. Chapter 65 Other Half of the Dragon Salia. The Nangong Imperial Clan. The Imperial Temple. Other than being a tribute to the ancestors of the Nangong Imperial Clan, this place was also the main head of the Imperial Dragon veins. Below the Great Temple was a huge training room. In the secret room, a giant dragon made of gold bared its fangs and brandished its claws, looking extremely ferocious, as if it could charge out at any time. Under the dragon's head, half of the broken blade was still there. The broken blade exuded an arrogant and domineering power. Even the ferocious dragon seemed to be somewhat fearful. The remaining half of the dragon Salia, Nangong Hua knelt on the ground and said softly, "Grand Ancestor, the other half of the dragon Salia has already been found by the Long family." Not far away, a 100-year-old man was sitting cross-legged. Upon hearing the word Dragon Salya, he suddenly opened his eyes, and his figure rushed over like a ghost. He instantly appeared in front of Nangong Hua, and asked with an excited expression, "Has he appeared?" As they spoke, the aura of the War Master spread out from his body, causing Nangong Hua to be unable to endure it any longer. His figure started to tremble, and he said, "It appeared, and was found by the Long family's younger generation, Long Fei." "Ah, ha, ha. He's finally here. I knew he would appear." With a mad laugh, the ancestor's figure blurred, appearing in front of the half of the Dragon Salya. His right hand moved. Wung. The other half of the Dragon Salya released an arrogant and overbearing blade aura. The blade aura was like a bloody light as it crazily unleashed. "I have been waiting for so many years for the Dragon Salya to hide a shocking secret that not many great ancestors have comprehended after thousands of years. As long as we can find the remaining half, we will know. This secret could very well be the Dragon God's secret. It might very well be the greatest secret of the Ascendant stage." Taizu was starting to go insane. He was extremely excited. The great ancestor landed beside Nangong Hua and said, "Back then, the Dragon Slayer God held the Dragon Salya and fought a great battle with the evil demon sovereign for 3 days and 3 nights, and just by relying on this Dragon Salya, he killed the evil demon sovereign. The Dragon Salya is too strong, and it has already threatened the position of our Nangong family. Never would we have thought that the Dragon Slayer God would use all of its Dragon God blood essence as the primer to shatter the Dragon Salya. Threw one into the depths of the Fire Glass mountain range, but we only managed to get half of it." Towards these secrets, Nangong Hua's heart was greatly shocked. He only knew that the Dragon Slayer God was killed by the inescapable snare tactical method technique, but he never thought that the Dragon Salya could actually have such a strong power. The inescapable snare tactical method art was the foundation of the Nangong family and was an ancient vicious formation. The Dragon Slayer God was actually able to fight for 7 days and 7 nights. One could imagine how powerful this Dragon Salya was. Moreover, after that battle, the inescapable snare tactical method had been lost. For thousands of years, they had been trying to recover, but not even half of their energy had been recovered. Nangong Hua calmed down and said, "Great Ancestor, what do you want me to do?" The Dragon Salya was a supreme artifact. It could threaten the foundation of the Nangong imperial clan. This thing was either under his control or he wanted it to disappear forever. The ancestor's eyes narrowed. Nangong Hua continued, "Yesterday, Lunatic Long had already come out from seclusion, his cultivation had already broken through the War Master Reem. It will probably be difficult for us to deal with the Long family." "War Master Reem? Long Sanfeng?" The expression in the ancestor's eyes flickered, and he said, "His dragon blood activation is only at 75%, breaking through the War Master Reem is probably." Nangong Hua was startled, then said, "Great Ancestor, you said that he forcefully released the pressure of the War Master? According to my understanding of the Long family, if one wants to break through the War Master Reem, their dragon blood activation must reach 80%. Lunatic Long doesn't have this kind of potential at all. There are exceptions too, and we cannot be completely sure." The ancestor didn't dare to be sure either. The Long family was too strong. The dragon blood also contained too many uncertainties. Over the past 10,000 years, there were too many experts in the Long family, and there were also some special cases. To the Long family, he had always been the person that the Nangong imperial clan feared the most. Nangong Hua was slightly taken aback, then said, "Then." Taizu was silent for a few seconds, then said, "Didn't Nangong Lei get married to the Long family? He should be more interested to know whether Lunatic Long is really a War Master Reem or not than me, right? In the past, his ancestors were also a participant. If not for our Nangong clan, there would not be a Prince Nangong family in this world. Nangong Lei was not from the Nangong royal family. It was also a family that was given the surname of the Nangong imperial clan. Following that, Taizu slightly said, "Pass my order to Nangong Lai, didn't he break through the War Master Reem last year? Let's let him try out the cultivation level of Lunatic Long." Nangong Hua immediately replied, "Understood." "Right. You said that the dragon Salya is currently in the hands of a younger generation member of the Long family? Taizu asked. Nangonghor answered, it's in the hands of the current young master of the Long family, Long Fei. It's the brat whose blood essence of the dragon god has been drawn out. Young Master Long? The Grand Elder's eyes became sinister as his lips curled into a sneer. There's no need to act against him. Isn't there a banquet for him at the end of the year? Nangonghor immediately understood Taizu's meaning, and said, I got it. Dragon Salya, I have to have it. The great ancestor secretly clenched his fists as he looked at the half of the dragon Salya, revealing a ghastly coldness. What exactly are you hiding? For a few days. Long Fei kept on using his skills. Especially the dragon Salya technique. Without the addition of luck, his saber chi had already risen to the 155th level, each level more violent than the last. And then there was the fatal blow on his right fist. Long Fei was also crazily cultivating, just that. It took him 3 minutes to circulate his strength. This was a bit of a pain in the ass. Ding. Proficiency +1 ding. Congratulations to the player Long Fei for cultivating the divine technique toading skill level increase. The current rank is level 3. Huff. Toading skill has finally reached the 3rd level. Long Fei was secretly excited, and at the same time, he checked his own attributes. Player, Long Fei level, War Spirit level 2 experience points, 180090600000 True Breath, 4300, Full, Skills, Toading skill, level 3, Dragon Salya technique, level 2, Mountain Hit Fist, level 1, Alchemy technique, level 6, Talisman technique, level 4, Ultimate skill, Magic power of right hand, one hit kill all martial artists below War Chief level 6, condense for 3 minutes. Energy values, 100 points lucky value, 10 points. Points, 1600, table of contents. A series of attributes appeared at the interface in Long Fei's mind. Damn it. I need to find a place to level up. Also, skills are too hard to train. The level 4 toading skill S require 50,000 points. I have to keep training myself until I become a toad. Long Fei muttered. The system's downside. Without experience, it was impossible to level up. If one wanted to level up, they had to kill monsters. If they were to rely on refining top-grade pills to gain just a little bit of experience, who knew how long it would take to level up? Long Fei muttered in his heart, should I make another trip to Fireglass Mountain Range? At this moment, the figure suddenly appeared behind Long Fei, intense battle chi. She was a killer. Her ability to sense battle chi was far stronger than ordinary people. This was her special ability. At this moment, rumble. A huge sound exploded in the sky above Long Sanfeng's courtyard. Ha ha ha. Lunatic Long, I heard that you broke through the War Master Reem, you came out to play. Nangong Lai is here. This is bad. Long Fei secretly shouted and quickly rushed to his grandfather's residence. Chapter 66, The Powerful Nangong Lai. Chapter 66, The Powerful Nangong Lai. Ha ha ha. Nangong Lai, you're in too much of a hurry. I didn't look for you, but you did. Immediately, Long Sanfeng released his battle chi and rushed into the sky, releasing a black silhouette that floated in the air. He stood there in mid-air. Only the War Elder Realm could do this. Only then could he use the ability to fly. Nangong Lai was slightly taken aback, then laughed boorishly. Lunatic Long, I didn't think that you had really broken through the War Elder Realm. It just so happens that I was worried about not being able to find a person at the War Elder Realm to spar with. Why? Play. Madman Long, you were a battle maniac before, you wouldn't have refused my request, right? Just the fact that Long Sanfeng was flying through the air was not enough to prove that he was a War Elder Realm cultivator. You have to fight to know. Without waiting for Long Sanfeng to speak, Nangong Lai smiled and said, Don't worry, I will at most beat your shit out of you. I won't take your life. Long Sanfeng's eyes became angry, and the War Elder aura from his body became endless, as he bellowed, Nangong Lai, since you want to play, then let's play big time. The arrow was already on the bow, so he had no choice but to fire. When he was forcefully releasing the War Elder's chi in the martial arts arena, he had already guessed that someone would test his cultivation level. This person was either someone from the Nangong Imperial clan or Prince Nangong. However, Long Sanfeng never thought that Nangong Lai would arrive so quickly. Long Zhanhai rushed into the courtyard and leaped with all his might onto the roof, then shouted loudly, "Senior, since you want to play, I'll play with you." Nangong Lai didn't even look at him, and said with a sneer, "Seeing that you're calling me senior, I'll spare your life. A trash like you doesn't even have the qualifications to make me attack." As soon as his voice faded, the aura of the War Elder on Nangong Lai's body had also been released to its peak. His two fists moved, and dense battle chi roared out, charging towards Long Sanfeng, saying, "Do you think I can't play?" In that instant, Long Sanfeng moved, his true breath surging as his body continuously released the sounds of energy colliding with each other. The power of the dragon blood within his body also began to boil. Heavenly dragon palm. His right palm moved. A dragon's roar sounded out, the true breath activated, and a palm shot out like a heavenly dragon. Nangong Lai snorted, "Just this little bit of strength." Ha! Nangong Lai clenched both of his fists tightly, aimed at the roaring dragon that was charging up, and punched fiercely downwards, raging sea fists. Rumble. 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 The sea of anger roared, and like an avalanche, it smashed into the dragon with a fist. The dragon let out a scream of rage. Nangong Lai pulled on his dragon head fiercely. Crack. The Long family's heaven-ranked level 8 cultivation technique is only mediocre. Nangong Lai disdainfully snorted, his arm loosened and the heavenly dragon simulacrum slowly dissipated. Even though his mouth was filled with disdain, both his arms were numb. He thought to himself, as expected of the heavenly dragon palm, "The one who will lose another bit of power will be me." In the blink of an eye, Nangong Lai's figure blurred and instantly appeared in front of Long Sanfeng. He sinisterly sneered, "Lunatic Long, get down." Boom. Rage sea rushing to the sky. Rumble. The sky darkened, and like an enormous wave that descended from the skies, it directly smashed into Long Sanfeng's head. Long Sanfeng's forehead turned sinister as he roared, "Dragon elephant break." His palms blurred. The power of the dragon blood was released, aimed at that massive wave and launched an attack. Bam! Rumble! Rumble! His voice was shaking the sky, and even Long Zhanhai, who was on the roof, was unable to withstand the pressure of this battle chi, and tumbled down from the roof. At this time, Long Sanfeng's body also sunk, unable to resist. His cultivation was only at the 8th stage of the War Elder, and he was not a match for it. Furthermore, he was injured, so forcefully releasing the War Master's aura had already exceeded the limits of his body. If not for the anger in his heart, he would not have been able to hold on at all. After 2 consecutive attacks, his true breath had been completely exhausted and the power of his dragon blood had been greatly reduced. Bang, bang, bang. Nangong Lai's power surged as he crazily struck down, coldly laughing, "Lunatic Long, is this all you have? Too weak, ha ha ha. Everyone says that you, Lunatic Long, are a martial cultivation genius that only appears once in 100 years. It looks like you're not up to much, ha ha ha." Boom. 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 He continued to strike and crush. Long Sanfeng's blood was boiling in his chest, and he almost vomited blood a few times. Boom. After the punch, Long Sanfeng heavily fell to the ground. "Father." Long Zhanhai sprinted forward. The instant Long Sanfeng landed, he clapped his right hand and jumped up with force. He raised his head to look at the proud Nangong Lai in the sky and thought to himself, I want to hold on to the pillar, I absolutely cannot let him see any flaws." Although he was at a disadvantage, however, his body was still releasing the aura of the War Master Reem, so even Nangong Lai could not find any clues. "Don't come over," Long Sanfeng shouted, and then laughed out wildly, "Nangong Lai, I didn't think that your comprehension of the War Master Reem's power would be so profound. I've only broken through for less than a month. If you give me another year of time, the one who lost would be you." His voice was like a great bell. There was no sign of injury. Nangong Lai laughed disdainfully. What? Lunatic Long, you're admitting defeat and not playing? I am in a good mood, come. Take another palm from me. Just as Long Sanfeng had said, he was still unable to confirm Long Sanfeng's cultivation level. He had yet to achieve his goal for coming here. He couldn't give up just like that. In the blink of an eye, Nangong Lai's palm fell from the sky and gathered all of his power. If Long Sanfeng was able to block it, it would prove that he was a War Master Reem and that he had to be more careful in the future. But if he could not take it, it would mean that his cultivation was not War Master Reem and that he would die under his hands, which would remove a hidden danger for the Nangong family. Regardless of the outcome, the Nangong family was the winner. Long Sanfeng's gaze tensed up, the pressure of the surging War Master pressed down. He knew he could not hold on, but he decided to operate the best part of the dragon blood profound qi in his body. Once this thread of dragon blood profound qi circulated, his life could only last for 3 days. For the sake of the Long family, in order to intimidate the families who were eyeing the Fireglass City covetously, and in order to buy Long Fei more time, he decided to give it his all. You dare to touch my grandpa? I'll fight with you. Boom. Whoosh wang, explode. Wang. A violent explosion sounded out from Long Fei's body. Following that, all of the attributes in his body doubled. Dragon Salia, give it to me. Boom. A domineering shout. The dragon-slaying crippled blade appeared in Long Fei's hands. Slicing the skin, breaking the tendons, breaking the bones. In 1/10 of a second, 7 moves of Dragon Salia technique were released. The blade chi also accumulated in that instant, and at the same time, Long Fei leapt out heavily. Bam! With both hands gripping the Dragon Salia, he suddenly roared out, Dragon Chop. Shua! A layer of saber chi swept out. Nangong Lai frowned, his heart sinking when he saw the Dragon Salia in Long Fei's hand. Supreme artifact, Dragon Salia? No wonder. No wonder Grand Ancestor Nangong wanted me to test Long Sanfeng's cultivation. So the Dragon Salia had appeared. It was also at this moment. Nangong Lai coldly snorted, and said, even a lame duck like you dares to be so arrogant in front of me. Raging angry sea. Boom. Both palms formed into a fist, the berserk ocean came attacking from all directions, surging towards Xiong Longfei. Kill. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Asterisk all of the blade energies were released and clashed with Nangong Lai's raging inferno. The earth quaked and the mountains shook. Powerful energy continued to shoot out in all directions. Bam! The Dragon Chop's blade aura completely destroyed the boiling energy in the sea of anger, but it was still. The difference in cultivation between Long Fei and Nangong Lai was just too great, and could not even withstand the pressure of the battle chi on Nangong Lai's body, and his body immediately fell down. Nangong Lai was shocked in his heart. This guy is only at the war spirit realm, but the power he is releasing is too terrifying. We can't let this child live. The aura of the Dragon Chop caused an indescribable pressure on his mind. If not for the fact that he had the advantage in cultivation, he would not have been able to endure it. Suddenly, Nangong Lai's figure blurred as ghost shadows appeared one after another, before he threw a palm attack towards Long Fei's head. Long Fei suddenly moved, threw the Dragon Salia towards Long Sanfeng, and said, Grandfather. Long Sanfeng leaped up and caught the Dragon Salia, releasing the last bit of dragon blood essence and roared out, Nangong Lai, you dare to bully my grandson, I'll take your life. Chapter 67, 3 Days of Life. Chapter 67, 3 Days of Life. The dragon blood profound chi was injected into the dragon-slaying saber. Immediately, an angry dragon's roar came from within the Dragon Salia. The true might of the Dragon Salia was unleashed. At this moment, his body sank, and even the power of his War Master Reem could not be released. He immediately gave up on killing Long Fei, flew to the side, and smiled apologetically. Lunatic Long, there's no need to be angry, I was just joking. Are you kidding? You must be joking with the Dragon Salia. The last bit of dragon blood essence has been released. Do you think I can let you go just because you said that? That was impossible. If Long Sanfeng was a War Master Reem, he would have smashed Nangong Lai to the ground a long time ago, and would definitely step on his head while laughing maniacally. However, his cultivation was currently only at the 8th level of War Elder. To him, this kind of opportunity to crush Nangong Lai was something he would never miss. Killing Nangong Lai would be able to severely injure Prince Nangong's family and would be a huge deterrence to the royal family, so the Long family would have even more time. Long Sanfeng risked his life for this blade strike, channeling all of his energy into his body. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Heavenly thunder billowed, and the dragon Salya cut down through the heavens and earth. Nangong Lai trembled in fear. The feeling of being crushed by the dragon Salya was even worse than death. However, he wasn't the kind to obediently accept his fate. His body exploded. Nangong Lai roared, "Lightning defense, break for me." Thunder rumbled in his body. Long Zhanhai's face changed. Thunder clock? Heavenly soul treasure, thunder clock? Nangong Lai's body had an extra huge bell on it. Its body was filled with purple lightning. The lightning formed a lightning web. It formed an extremely hard defense against the lightning. The thunder clock of Prince Nangong's house. It was also a peak-level heavenly soul treasure, and was extremely close to the existence of Holy Artifact S. Although its rank was not as high as the Dragon Salya S, its defense was extremely powerful, and was obtained by their ancestors through a fortuitous encounter. Rumble. The Dragon Salya slashed down. It struck the purple thunder net. Immediately, the sky and the earth darkened. It was as if the end of the world had struck, and the entire fire-glass city was trembling. The lightning web continued to break. The Dragon Salya was unstoppable. Nangong Lai was struggling to hold on. But Long Sanfeng's power was rapidly drying up. The power of the true breath and the dragon's blood were all withering, and there was nothing left to follow up. Even if the Dragon Salya did not have the support of the true breath, it was still not able to unleash its powerful strength. Victory or defeat against a War Master Reem Ranker could be determined in a moment. Nangong Lai grabbed onto this moment. The thunder clock suddenly roared, its figure moving like lightning. It instantly shot towards the sky and started laughing maniacally. "Ha ha ha. Lunatic Long, you aren't strong enough, right? This is the difference. Ha ha ha." He had escaped death. Nangong Lai's back was drenched in cold sweat. He was still in a state of shock as he stared at Long Sanfeng, who was in the courtyard, unable to confirm whether or not he was War Master Reem's cultivation. However, he no longer dared to try again. This was because the Dragon Salya's power was too strong. If he slashed again, he definitely would not be able to block it. Even Thunder Clock would probably be destroyed by this blade. Long Sanfeng held onto the blade with his right hand and suddenly pointed towards Nangong Lai, who was in the air. He laughed arrogantly. "Child Nangong Lai, if you have the guts, come down and fight with this old man for another 300 rounds. Ha ha ha." While he was laughing maniacally, the aura of the War Master Reem was released endlessly. Nangong Lai did not dare to try again, and instead smiled. "Lunatic Long, there's a lot of time to go, there's no need to be in such a rush. Today, I still have urgent matters to attend to, so I'll come back one day to experience your Dragon Salya's power." Finished. He instantly flew away, worried that the dragon madman would carry the Dragon Salya and chase after him, cursing in his heart. "Nangong Hua, you two, father and son, are truly ruthless enough to want to frame me. If I didn't run fast today, I would have died under the Dragon Salya." Nangong Lai was extremely angry in his heart. Nangong Hua's orders did not say that the Long family had already found the Dragon Salya, otherwise he would not be acting this way. Naturally, he felt displeased in his heart. At the same time, Long Fei's figure was imprinted in his heart. For his war spirit to be able to withstand my attack, it is only one move, but he has too much potential, and is a great threat to my King Nangong residence. We can't stay here any longer. The Long family has always had some crazy people. Now that the Dragon Salya has been found, if the Long family rises up again, I'm afraid. He could not help but feel uneasy as he thought about the secrets and memories his father had told him before he died. Back then, in order to unite the Dragon Salya and the Imperial family and use the inescapable snare tactical method to kill the Dragon Slayer god, who would have thought that he would actually split the Dragon Salya into two? The Long family was not aware of this. If the Long family found out, perhaps the consequences would be unimaginable. And then Nangong Lai quickly returned to the King Nangong Palace. Long family, Long Sanfeng's courtyard. After confirming that Nangong Lai had left the Long family, Long Sanfeng's body suddenly sank and almost fell to the ground. It was also at this time a group of Long clan disciples rushed into the courtyard. Grand Elder, Grand Elder. Long Zhanhai's brows tightened, and immediately shouted, "Besides Long Fei, all of you get out. Hurry up." His voice shook the heavens, and no one dared to resist. Although the disciples of the Long family didn't understand, it was obvious that the Grand Tutor had one, so why did he chase them away? One of the disciples of the Long family glared at Long Sanfeng. Seeing him trembling non-stop, his face pale and without blood, as if he was an old man about to die, his heart trembled uncontrollably as the corners of his mouth unconsciously curled into a cold smile. Bam! The courtyard door closed. Long Zhanhai immediately rushed to Long Sanfeng's side to support him. "Father." His heart felt like it was about to die. It was incomparably painful. Long Sanfeng looked at the dragon-slaying saber with incomparable excitement, and said, "I can still see the dragon Salia in my lifetime, and can still use it once. I'll be able to die in peace." Cough, 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 cough. Long Sanfeng violently coughed out, black blood unceasingly gushing out of his mouth, and his body was trembling uncontrollably. Long Fei also stepped forward to support him. His heart was in extreme pain as he said, "Grandfather, grandfather, uncle, what happened to grandfather?" Long Zhanhai said in a deep voice, using the dragon's blood essence, forcefully releasing the War Master's aura, and in the end forcing Nangong Hua back with the dragon Salia. He even used the last bit of the dragon's blood essence. "Now father is." Cough cough. Long Sanfeng coughed a few times, then looked at Long Fei in a benevolent manner. "Xiao Fei, don't worry, your grandfather won't die yet." "Father." Long Zhanhai could not hold it in any longer and said, "Your true essence is currently exhausted, your dragon blood essence is exhausted, and you are also injured. We only have 3 days of our lives left." When he said that, Long Zhanhai was also crying. Seeing his father like this, he wished that he could bear everything on his behalf. Hearing these words, Long Fei was stunned. Chapter 68, Heaven-Ranked Continued Life Pill. Chapter 68, Heaven-Ranked Continued Life Pill. Boom. Long Fei's body trembled, and he almost fell to the ground. Long Zhanhai's words were like a thunder from a clear sky. His 2 hands tightly grabbed onto Long Sanfeng, and he said, I won't. Grandfather, you told me, I won't." Unwell. It was extremely uncomfortable. This was the first time Long Fei had felt such pain, such suffocating pain. All he could remember was his grandfather's doting and benevolence towards him. These scenes constantly flooded his mind, making him feel extremely uncomfortable. "There must be a way, grandfather," you said. "There must be a way, right? Dragon Salia, Dragon Salia." And then, as long as he had dragon blood, he would be able to save grandfather. Long Fei immediately asked, "Uncle, didn't you say that if you had dragon blood, you would be able to help grandfather?" "I can use Dragon Salia S to exchange for dragon blood. I can exchange for dragon blood." Long Fei didn't even know what his family members were in his previous life. From birth, he had never known who his parents were and never received any family love. Family was what he longed for the most. Although he was just a transcender, the images in his mind made him feel what it meant to be family. As long as he could save grandfather, he did not hesitate to exchange it with the Dragon Salia. So what if it was a supreme artifact? In Long Fei's heart, his grandfather's life was more important than anything. The supreme artifact could explode again without it. If it died, would it be able to live again? "Shut up." Long Sanfeng opened his eyes wide, staring straight at Long Fei, and shouted, "The Dragon Salia is a treasure passed down from the great ancestor. It is the supreme elder of the Long family, and you want to exchange my life for dragon blood? How do you want me to face the ancestors of the Long family in 100 years? Xiao Fei, as long as the Dragon Salia exists, the Long family will not perish." He didn't want to be a sinner. He also didn't want to lose face to the ancestors of the Long family after death. The dragon Salia was the Long family's hope, and Long Fei was the Long family's hope. Long Zhanhai said in a pained voice, "Even if I can get dragon blood, it's useless. A portion of dragon blood is simply insufficient, unless I can kill a huge dragon and use its blood essence to rebuild my body. Where is the giant dragon in God's martial continent? No one knows. Even if they did, killing a colossal dragon would be impossible. The dragon was the strongest being in the God's martial continent. Even if it was the war emperor, the war god, this kind of supreme realm, didn't dare to say it was easy to kill. Not to mention, you can't even find it. After killing the gigantic dragon, the dragon's blood essence will be remade into its body." Long Fei muttered to himself. Long Sanfeng said weakly, "Xiao Fei, don't listen to your uncle's nonsense. Life and death, the cycle of reincarnation, these are the laws of nature. Don't be sad for me, I will watch over you from the sky. But grandfather won't be able to see you get married and have children, and won't be able to carry a grandson in your arms anymore, ha ha ha. That Nangong Yang, if you don't like her, you can annul the marriage. The 3 young ladies of the Heaven sect are not bad, and Jojo is not bad either. You are even better than your father's woman, I do not need to worry. Speaking of your father," Long Sanfeng's expression trembled, and said guiltily, "It's all my fault for being too strict at the time. If I had promised your father, he wouldn't have left home, and he definitely wouldn't have not returned home after so many years." His eyes were full of remorse. Long Zhanhai said, "Father, so much time has passed, old third will definitely not resent you anymore." Long Sanfeng looked at Long Fei and said, "Xiao Fei, your father is my fault. If you can find him in your lifetime, then take me to apologize to him." Long Sanfeng had never told him about his father before. In his memories, he asked countless of times but Long Sanfeng never answered. Moreover, what Long Fei didn't understand was that he didn't know who his mother was, and he didn't dare to ask her now either. Long Sanfeng acted as if he was going to do something later, causing Long Fei's heart to ache. "Grandfather, you have to apologize, go and apologize by yourself, don't ask me to pass this down. Don't worry, I'll definitely let you reform your body. I definitely will." Finished. Long Fei ran out anxiously. The moment he ran out of the courtyard, he couldn't hold back his tears any longer. They streamed down his face as he sobbed, as if his heart had been torn to shreds. He had never cried like this before. Never. It's really useless, I'm really useless. If I were a little stronger, grandfather wouldn't be injured, and he wouldn't need to worry about me. Long Fei, you're really useless. Long Fei screamed in his heart, clenching his fists tightly, as though his teeth were going to shatter. Become stronger. Become strong. I must become strong. I want to become the strongest person in this world. Ah! Roaring furiously at the sky. Filled with powerlessness, when facing Nangong Lai who had War Master Reem, he did not have the slightest bit of strength to resist. Moreover, he knew clearly in his heart that Nangong Lai had only tested him once, and the person behind him had become even stronger. The cultivation of the royal family's master was even stronger. How should he face it? In front of them, Long Fei felt that he was not even an ant. Long Fei ran out of the Long family residence like a madman. It would be a waste of his time to think of how to deal with Prince Nangong's family and the royal family. Right now, he had to think of how to save his grandfather. After teleporting with great difficulty and with his family members by his side, Long Fei would never allow himself to become an orphan again. That feeling was something he had endured for more than 20 years, and he would never want to live that kind of life again. They ran to the Fengyuan Merchant Union. Zhao Er immediately went forward and said, "Young Master Long, Elder Liu is waiting for you in the backyard." Long Fei did not linger, he directly ran to the backyard, and directly said to Liu Feng while looking at him, "Elder Liu, I want to see your pavilion master." Liu Feng immediately said, "I really want to tell you about this, but I heard that Nangong Lai went to the Long family today, and did not go over. Our pavilion master has been summoned back to the main alliance. Perhaps." Liu Feng's face became anxious. Long Fei's brows tightened, and said, "What's possible?" Liu Feng replied, I may never come to the Fire Glass City again. Is it because of me? Long Fei finally understood that the Fengyuan Merchant Union could not interfere with the battles between the local families these few days. This was the principle. There was no doubt that Fu Shishan stood out to protect him. The Fengyuan Merchant Union immediately sent people to escort her back to the headquarters to interrogate her. These few days, Long Fei did not come to the Fengyuan Merchant Union, so he did not know about it. Liu Feng nodded his head and said, Miss has violated the rules of the alliance for your sake. Even if her father is the alliance master, he would still be unable to protect her, not to mention that the inside of the Fengyuan Merchant Union is much more complicated than you imagine. As expected, Long Fei blamed himself in his heart. He really wanted to slap himself. Liu Feng thought of something and immediately took out a small bottle and said, Long Fei, this is the thing that Miss entrusted me to pass to you before she left. What is this? Long Fei asked. Liu Feng lowered his voice and said, Heaven Rank Continued Life Pill. Hey! Long Fei's expression was shocked as he received the pill. His heart was in extreme shock as he asked, How did she know that I need this thing? Chapter 69, Fu Shishan's Departure. Chapter 69, Fu Shishan's Departure. Long Fei came to Fengyuan Merchant Union to ask if there were any continued life pill or pills. It was impossible to kill a giant dragon in a short period of time. He could only preserve his life. The Fengyuan Merchant Union was one of the 10 commercial alliances and had countless resources. They would definitely have this pill. Even if they did not have it, they would still know the formula for it. So Long Fei came. What he did not expect was that Fu Shishan had actually prepared it for him in advance. His heart was filled with gratitude. At the same time, he was filled with doubts. How did she know I needed it? Liu Feng said, that day after returning from the Long family, Miss had been preparing. She used all her connections and also bought 3 continued life pills with all of her savings. Actually, Liu Feng did not say everything. The reason why Fu Shishan was actually being escorted back to the main alliance was not because she wanted to protect Long Fei, but because of the continued life pill. 1 continued life pill was worth hundreds of spirit stones. This was not something that her savings could afford. Rather, it was Fu Shishan who used the connections and resources that the Fengyuan Merchant Union could not use. It was because of this that he was taken back. Moreover, this was a heinous crime, and the punishment Fu Shishan received was also the most serious. This was also something that Fu Shishan had specially instructed Liu Feng not to know. She knew that the other day. Long Fei was shocked in his heart, and did not think too much about it. Liu Feng said, the Fengyuan Merchant Union also has powerful warriors present in the Fire Glass City. Otherwise, do you think the Fengyuan Merchant Union would be able to stay in the Fire Glass City so safely? On that day, the experts of our Fengyuan Merchant Union saw that Master Long's body was severely injured from releasing the War Master Ream. Miss also guessed that some expert from the War Master Ream would come and test Master Long's cultivation level, and at that time, Master Long would definitely release it again on behalf of the Long family and you, and also use the Dragon Blood Essence, and at that time, he will be at the end of his tether. All of these were within Fu Shishan's expectations. After staying in Fire Glass City for so many years, she had long seen everything clearly. It was just that. He had been doing his best for so many years, and did not participate in the Fire Glass City's internal conflict. This time, he did not know if he got the wrong nerve, but rather, he wanted to participate in it for Long Fei. Furthermore, she even threw herself in. Long Fei's heart was filled with gratitude, as he said in a heavy voice, Thank you, your pavilion master. Thank you, I, Long Fei, am unable to repay you in any way. As long as it is something Pavilion Master Fu can use, I, Long Fei, will not refuse it no matter what. He didn't know how to thank her. Continued life pills were too important to him. Liu Feng smiled faintly and said, As long as you don't forget our young miss. Liu Feng wanted to say something but held back in the end. Long Fei said in a heavy voice, Long Fei will remember this great kindness of Pavilion Master Fu's for the rest of his life. I will never forget it. Old Liu, Grandpa is still waiting for me. I'll go back first. Liu Feng said, hurry up and go. If you have anything to say, just keep looking for me. Long Fei did not dare delay any further, and quickly returned to the Long family residence. Liu Feng muttered, as long as I am still in the Fire Glass City. It's just that my days in Fire Glass City are not that long. Huff. Liu Feng sighed heavily. He looked at the sky and muttered, Miss, is what you're doing really worth it? He was very clear what kind of punishment Fu Shishan would suffer. In his heart, he felt that Fu Shishan was not worth it, but as long as Fu Shishan made a choice, he would fully support him. Looking at the direction in which Long Fei disappeared in, Liu Feng said in a low voice, Long Fei, I hope you understand the painstaking effort Miss has put in, and love. Continued life pill. One would last for 3 months. This kind of pill was considered heaven-defying. Once there was no continuation of the continued life pill, it would immediately die. Other than that, continued life pill has another drawback, that during the time you consume the pill, your cultivation would only be half of its normal level. 3 continued life pill would also mean 9 months. Simply put, Long Sanfeng only had 9 months, and his cultivation was only at War Chief realm. After consuming it, Long Sanfeng's vital energy and blood improved greatly. He looked at Long Fei and said, Xiao Fei, why would you waste this kind of medicinal pellet on me? The price of continued life pill S was heaven-defying. 1 pill was worth billions of silver. Long Zhanhai was also puzzled. Xiao Fei, how did you get a continued life pill? 3 of them at the same time. This kind of pellet can only be refined by the alchemy masters of a few powerful sects. Since grandfather's life was temporarily saved, Long Fei was relieved and said with a smile, you don't have to worry about that. Within 9 months, I will definitely kill a huge dragon and use its blood essence to reconstruct grandfather's body. He spoke firmly. Long Fei would never let death take his grandfather's life from his hand. Long Sanfeng and Long Zhanhai's minds tightened because Long Fei's expression was exactly the same as his father's back then. They were both shocked in their hearts. Grandfather, you take a good rest. I'll be leaving first. Long Fei left. Only Long Zhanhai and Long Sanfeng were left in the room. Long Sanfeng sighed heavily, it's all my fault, I was useless. I even had my grandson to help me, this old man. Sigh. Dad, don't say that. As you can see, Long Fei is different from before. He can take charge of himself now, and his calm, unyielding spirit is even stronger than third brother's. I'm starting to believe in him a little now. Long Zhanhai slightly said. Believe what? I believe that he will be able to kill a gigantic dragon and use its dragon blood to rebuild your body within 9 months. You are also stunned. Where is the dragon? You said that you could kill a huge dragon just by killing it. Father, I know that it will be extremely difficult, but I still believe in him, just like how none of us thought he would know about the dragon Salia. There is no justification for such trust. They just believed him. Long Sanfeng thought for a while, then asked, have you made any plans for Xiao Fei's training? Long Zhanhai immediately said, I really want to discuss this with you. I want to bring Long Fei into the Long family's army. Huh? Long Sanfeng's expression changed. He had thought of all the cultivation arrangements for Long Fei, but he didn't think that Long Zhanhai would actually want to throw Long Fei into the Long family's army. Long Fei is only in the war spirit realm now, he wouldn't even be able to live in that kind of environment. As his grandfather, the first thing he was worried about was Long Fei's safety. Long Zhanhai knew that the old man would object, and said immediately, Father, Long Fei's potential is much greater than what we imagined, and I really can't find a suitable place for Xiao Fei to cultivate, and the hundreds of thousands of barren mountains that the Long family's army is stationed at is the best place, and I want him to be acknowledged by the Long family's army. I want him to completely take over the Long family's army, not because of his identity as a dragon god warrior, nor because of the deterrence of the dragon Salia, and not even as the Long family's patriarch, but because of his own strength to make the Long family's army acknowledge him. That was what he was thinking. Long Sanfeng went silent. This arrangement was indeed good, but the test was too heavy. Can't we wait for him to grow a little longer? Long Sanfeng was still very worried. He was just a grandson, and he felt that he owed Long Fei's father, but he didn't want to owe this grandson of his anymore. Long Zhanhai slightly said, "Our Long family doesn't have much time left." Chapter 70 Eastern Bastard Brother. Chapter 70 Eastern Bastard Brother Prince Nangong's Manor. In the secret room. Nangong Lai's face flushed red, the blood and energy in his chest tumbled, and in the end, Pu. He spat out a mouthful of blood. And then, Nangong Lai pressed down with both hands, and the true breath surged, merging into the pubes once again. After consuming a few high-grade pellets, his eyes slightly opened. The supreme artifact's strength is too strong, even a half of a dragon salya would be incomparably strong. Nangong Hua, this dog of a father and son, using me as your cannon fodder, this debt will be settled sooner or later. Nangong Lai said in anger. Nangong Lei walked over and asked, "Father, are you all right?" Nangong Lai stood up and said, "I'm fine. I was injured by the dragon salya's chi and will be able to recover in half a year's time. Why didn't you tell me about the dragon salya beforehand?" Nangong Hua's expression slightly changed as he said, "This child didn't know that father was going to the Long family, so I didn't have the time to tell you." "Forget it. Nangong Hua is being too hasty, I don't have time to tell you." Nangong Lai exhaled, then he thought of Long Fei and asked, "When did the Long family produce a genius in martial arts? He can actually block a move of mine that would cause the Sea of Fury to boil. He was at the War Master Ream realm, not to mention the realm of the War Spirit. Even if he was an expert at the peak of the War Chief, he would be able to kill him in one move." However, Long Fei actually managed to neutralize his attack. This was not something that could be done on a normal day. Nangong Lei immediately thought of Long Fei and said, "He is that Long Fei whose dragon blood was drawn out and whose pubes was shattered. I don't know what fortuitous encounter he had in the past half year, but his cultivation has advanced by leaps and bounds, training in all kinds of powerful and mysterious techniques. This child guesses, could it be that the secret of the dragon salya was discovered by him? Impossible." Nangong Lai immediately denied it and said, "Half of the dragon salya is simply unable to solve the secret within, the other half." After a moment of silence, Nangong Lai said, "The other half is in the hands of that old bastard Nangong Wudi." Nangong Lei's heart skipped a beat. He did not know that the half of the dragon salya was in the hands of the Nangong family. Nangong Lai slightly said, "To be honest, I have yet to test it out. If he isn't War Master Ream, then he must be a super madman." Forcefully releasing the War Master Ream's chi all this time consumed a lot of his life force. Moreover, in the last move, he had released all of his dragon blood essence. If not for the War Master Ream, he would not have lived for more than 3 days. And then, Nangong Lai slightly said, "Even if Lunatic Long is a War Master Ream, his injuries are still heavier than mine and he won't be able to recover in 1 or 2 years. Right. If Nangong Hua asks, you can tell him that Lunatic Long is a War Master Ream cultivator, and must make that old fellow, Nangong Wudi, nervous." Nangong Lai's eyes slightly narrowed as he muttered, "Nangong Wudi, you have been at peace for so many years, it's time for you to get nervous." "As you command." When Nangong Lei left the secret room, his mind was still thinking about the dragon salya and Long Fei. Does this son-in-law want it or not? The half of a dragon salya was actually taken away by the Nangong imperial family, concealing a secret that had been hidden for thousands of years. If they were to let the Nangong family snatch the dragon salya from Long Fei's hands and merge them, then the secret of the dragon salya would definitely be found out by Nangong Wudi. As the patriarch of the Nangong imperial clan, he had to consider the future of the clan. Moreover, he had always wanted to restore his family's previous name. "Father." Just as Nangong Lai was in a daze, Nangong Yang ran over. An excited smile hung on Nangong Yang's face as he said, "Father, who are you looking for?" There were 2 people standing behind Nangong Yang. One was a young genius while the other was an old man in a black robe. The old man's eyes gave off a terrifying aura. Nangong Lei immediately went up to welcome him, knelt on one knee, and said with a heavy tone, "Greetings, Master." The black-robed old man gently raised his right hand and a wave of true breath pulled Nangong Lei's knee, and said, "You are now Prince Nangong, so you don't have to be so courteous to me." The young talent politely said, "Greetings, Uncle Nangong." Nangong Lei was slightly taken aback. "This is..." Nangong Yang was overjoyed. "Daddy, you don't even remember big brother Dongfang Jian?" "Aya. It's a small sword. It's already grown so big." Nangong Lei was shocked. It had been a few years since they last met and he almost could not recognize it. But then again, what about Dongfang Jian's cultivation? Very strong. The battle chi on his body was the strongest existence among the younger generation that he had ever seen. Nangong Yang said, "Big brother Jian is already a war chief. Daddy, is he powerful?" Dongfang Jian smiled humbly and said, "Break through the war elder realm within a year." Huh! Nangong Lei was even more shocked in his heart. It had to be known that he was the true descendant of a sect. His cultivation was completely different from an ordinary martial artist's. It was as if ordinary people were unorthodox, and he was the true descendant. In the same batch, no one was their match. This was also the reason why many people wanted to enter the sect. The Heaven sect was the #1 sect in Fireglass Dynasty, an existence with a powerful force. Moreover, Dongfang Jian's father was even the vice-sect master and could be said to be a favored son of heaven. Even the princes of the Nangong imperial family couldn't compare to him. Good, good, good. Nangong Lei kept praising her. And then, the black-robed elder said slightly, "I heard from Yanga that Prince Nangong's estate has met with some trouble recently." Nangong Yang coldly snorted and said disdainfully, "Isn't it that arrogant Long family, repeatedly forcing my father to marry that trash, Long Fei? If it wasn't for the emperor giving me the right to marry, I wouldn't have agreed at all to the Long family's coercion. There isn't a single good thing in the Long family that can bully others with power. This time you even want me. You want me to. Woo woo." As he spoke, Nangong Yang started to sob softly. His acting skills were even better than that of the Oscars. Dongfang Jian immediately took a step forward and asked with concern, "Little sister Yang, what does he want from you?" "As long as I am here, if anyone in Fireglass City dares to bully you, I will kill them all with a single sword." Nangong Yang was overjoyed in his heart. He immediately leaned into Dongfang Jian's embrace pitifully and said, "Big brother Jian, he wants me to accompany her." Woo woo. In the end, she cried even harder. Dongfang Jian's battle chi suddenly surged, and she bellowed, "You dog, I think he's tired of living, I'll go and kill him right now." He couldn't suppress his rage any longer. Nangong Yang was ecstatic, but on the surface, he still looked pitiful. "He can even kill a level 7 expert of the war chief. I'm afraid big brother Jian." "Huh! The 7th level of the war chief is nothing. I can kill a 7th level war chief with one finger." Dongfang Jian became even more unhappy and shouted, "Tell me where his house is located, I'll kill him right now." As he spoke, he raised his sword and charged forward. "Jenna, don't act recklessly." Looking at Nangong Lei, he said, "Isn't the Long family the weakest family in the 4 pillars?" "How?" Nangong Lei laughed bitterly. "The Long family has brought back the Dragon Salia. Huh! Fireglass City's #1 holy artifact." The old man in black was slightly surprised. "No wonder." Nangong Yang said in a spoiled manner, "Father, I don't care, I don't want to marry that trash. Even if I die, I won't marry him. I want to end the engagement." With Dongfang Jian and the black-robed old man here, Nangong Yang felt that this was an excellent opportunity. Her talent and cultivation could not be considered to be outstanding. However, she knew how to use her advantage and power. This was her intelligence. If the Chao Tian sect was going to back her up, then she would be fearless. So what if the emperor bestowed her a marriage? Dongfang Jian was overjoyed, and immediately said, "Little sister Yang, I support you." Chapter 71, The Opportunity Has Come. Chapter 71, The Opportunity Has Come. Nangong Lei knew very clearly what his daughter wanted. However, Nangong Lei's brows tightened as he muttered, "The Long family has an expert from the War Master Reem guarding them and we're even able to find the dragon-slaying saber. If we want to end the engagement, I'm afraid it won't be that simple." The black-robed old man looked at Dongfang Jian and said, "What's a mere War Master Reem to you? Dongfang Jian said proudly, Uncle Chen, you can kill a low-level war master expert in one move, you don't have to worry, Uncle Nangong. Nangong Yang once again said in a spoiled manner, Daddy, just let your daughter end the engagement, Big Brother Jian is 10,000 times better than him, if you want to marry me, you have to marry a man like Big Brother Jian, you don't need to marry a piece of trash. Dongfang Jian was even more agitated in his heart, to the point where he nearly hugged Nangong Yang tightly. He trained wholeheartedly, how could he be a match for Nangong Yang in terms of emotions? In terms of playing with emotions, Nangong Yang was as pure as fire. She was simply an expert amongst expert. From the very first moment Dongfang Jian saw her, he was infatuated with her. It was also at this time. The old butler hurried over and whispered, Your Highness, there is an urgent report from the underworld. Heh! Nangong Lei slightly shouted, What urgent matter? Can't you see that I have an important guest here? The old steward replied, It's about the dragon clan's great ancestor. It's very urgent, you see. The old man in black said slightly, You should go take a look. We will stay in Fireglass City for a while and arrange for a disciple recruitment event for the Heaven sect at the beginning of next year. Hearing that, Nangong Yang was ecstatic, and said, Brother Jian, you will also stay, right? He thought to himself, since the Heaven sect is recruiting disciples, I must enter the Heaven sect. As long as I enter the Heaven sect, I can get rid of that trash, Long Fei. Ha ha ha. His heart was abnormally excited. Dongfang Jian immediately nodded his head, and said, Ian, I will also be staying in Fireglass City for a while. Little sister Yang, are you coming with me to the Heaven sect? Nangong Yang feebly said, Is that really possible? My cultivation is still lacking a little bit more to qualify for it. Ha ha ha. Dongfang Jian had a complacent look on his face as he said, Others might need your qualifications, but you don't. As long as my father says it, you can immediately become an inner disciple. Don't worry. Nangong Yang was overjoyed as she asked weakly, Is it really possible? Of course. Dongfang Jian was very pleased with himself. It was also at this time. Nangong Lei walked over, his face carrying an excited smile, and said, Yanga, didn't you say you want to end the marriage? This is a good opportunity. He already knew everything about Lunatic Long. He speculated that there was a high chance that Dragon Madman wasn't War Elder Realm, he was forcefully releasing it, and his body was already severely injured. This was a perfect opportunity. Moreover, the Long family didn't dare to refuse. Nangong Yang was overjoyed, and said, Father, is it true? Humph. Long Fei, I can finally get rid of you. Nangong Yang coldly snorted. Thinking back to what happened at martial arts arena that day, she felt extremely unhappy in her heart. I've already sent someone to inform the Long family. Nangong Lei had his own plans. Originally, this marriage could have continued, after all, there was still a layer of alliance between this and the Long family. However, after he heard about the matter with the dragon Salya, he felt extremely upset. Coincidentally, Dongfang Jian's appearance allowed him to see a trace of hope. Dongfang Jian was the only son of the Arching Sky Sect's vice-sect master. As long as he was firmly held in his hands, he did not have to fear anyone. As long as he made good use of them, he would be able to control everything. At that time, the ancestors' wishes might be fulfilled and he could change his surname. Long Family, Scripture Pavilion. The Long family's Scripture Pavilion encompassed a myriad of mysterious cultivation techniques and martial skills. There were also some mysterious places on the continent, such as forbidden areas, dangerous areas, and even places outside the continent. So God's martial continent is divided into 5 regions. Fireglass Dynasty resides in the South Horizon region, and is the weakest of the 5 Great Plates. Long Fei muttered. He searched through the books for information on the dragon race, but could not find anything. Long Fei spent the next few days in the Scripture Pavilion. They were looking for a gathering place for the dragons. It was just that. Except for the occasional dragon. Giants were always hidden in the gold mines. They loved things that glittered with golden light. What huge dragon! They were hiding in the depths of the sea. They were the overlords of the seas. Furthermore, Some dragon clan was hidden in the heavenly palace and looked down at the entire god's martial continent. Some are even more outrageous, saying that the dragon race's illusions are hidden in the crowd and they are constantly staring at you. Long Fei saw all these and felt his head hurt. And then, Long Fei took out another Heavenly Dragon's Wool book, casually flipped through a few pages, and discovered another bleak book. Just like some broken eggs in his previous life, he muttered in his heart, could it be that there are people who write novels in this world? He skipped over some content and flipped to the last page. From Old Man Tianlong's Travels. F***ck. It really is a novel written by a person who has nothing better to do. Long Fei cursed, and then was attracted by a few small words at the bottom of the book. The dragon race once dominated the sky, and after the birth of the human rankers, they were gradually driven out of the 5 regions and disappeared into the continent, hiding in some mysterious corner. However, there were a few dragon races that did not leave, but because in the Swamp Mountains, there was the dragon clan's ancestor that once massacred the dragon, and then in the Great Desolate Mountain, with a single thought, they killed all living beings. Heh! Long Fei frowned. The Long family's ancestor should be Long Zhontian. Could it be that the wildfire in the Great Desolate Mountain was spouted by a huge dragon? What kind of place is the Great Desolate Mountain? It feels so familiar. I feel like I've heard it somewhere. Long Fei kept thinking about it, but he couldn't think of anything. Grandfather only has 9 months of life. I must kill a huge dragon and find a large amount of dragon blood to rebuild grandfather's body. I definitely won't let this relative leave me. Great Desolate Mountain. Great Desolate Mountain. Just where is it? It was also at this time. Long Zhanhai walked into the scripture pavilion and saw that there were various types of books surrounding Long Fei. All of these books were unusual legends, invented by a few bored people, and could not help but say, Long Fei, the things recorded in these books are not to be trusted. Uncle. Long Fei came back to reality and asked, looking for me? Long Zhanhai frowned and said, the King Nangong residence has sent a message, they want us to go to the prince's mansion tomorrow morning. F***k. How arrogant. If there's anything to talk about, then come to the Long family's residence. Why should we go to his residence? Long Fei said in an unhappy tone, before even settling the matter of Nangong Lai injuring grandfather, he came to find us first. Indeed. Long Zhanhai was also dissatisfied in his heart, but the current Long family simply did not have the strength to contend against Nangong Lai. Moreover, just today, during the morning assembly, Nangong Lai had said that the Long family army had not contributed much in the past few years, just like raising a bunch of pigs. The Long family's army was stationed in hundreds of thousands of barren mountains to protect the Fire Glass dynasty, and they were in the most dangerous position. It was all the fault of the Long family that they were still too weak. Otherwise, they wouldn't have ended up like this. Long Zhanhai said slightly, rest early tonight, put on some clothes tomorrow, and come with me to the prince's mansion. After saying that, Long Zhanhai wanted to say something but hesitated. In the end, he did not say it out, as he faintly guessed that he had to go to the Nangong residence this time. Chapter 72, I'm choking to death. Chapter 72, I'm choking to death. Although Long Fei was unhappy, he still followed Long Zhanhai to the King Nangong residence for the big picture of the Long family. The Nangong palace was extremely luxurious. It was much more imposing than the Long family. The pavilion was a fake mountain, and the small bridge was flowing with water. It was extremely luxurious. It was enormous and imposing, as if a huge beast was occupying the courtyard. Furthermore, the courtyard was placed in an orderly manner with extreme care. It even gave him the feeling that there was a powerful formation hidden within it. Long Zhanhai reminded him in a low voice, wait a moment, don't say anything. Long Fei nodded, got it. Ha ha ha. General Long, you're here. Hurry, come in. A housekeeper came out to welcome them and said, the prince has been waiting for you inside for a long time. The person who greeted him was only a butler. If it was at the peak of the Long family's power, Nangong Lai would definitely not dare to do so. This time. Long Zhanhai laughed, I've made your highness wait a long time. In the main hall. Nangong Lei first looked at Long Fei, and then said to Long Zhanhai, I had originally wanted to go to Holy Dragon Mansion to discuss this matter, but recently, my body has been feeling a little unwell, and I can only let General Long come to my residence. I am truly sorry. He said he was sorry, but he didn't have any intention of apologizing. His tone and eyes were filled with cold arrogance. Long Fei was unhappy. Long Zhanhai laughed. It's the same no matter where we go, it's also the same when we come to the prince's mansion. I just wonder, why does the prince want us to come here to discuss something? Nangong Lei squinted his eyes as he forced a smile. At this moment, two people walked out from the back room. The first to walk out was a woman. Wearing white clothes, a complacent smile appeared on his face. He was like a celestial fairy, devoid of worldly pleasures and beauty, but his eyes were filled with coldness. Nangong Yang, Fireglass Dynasty's #1 beauty. He had to say it. Nangong Yang was really beautiful. That pair of ice-cold eyes were filled with endless charm, and her figure was like a water snake. She was innately bewitching, and no man could resist her. Simply put, it was hard for others to stop. They all wanted to go all out. However, Nangong Yang coldly glanced at Long Fei, and directly grabbed onto the arm of a young man. The contempt on his face grew even stronger, and he directly said, Father, if you can't say it, then I'll say it. Without waiting for her to finish speaking, Long Zhanhai frowned and suddenly stood up, then said with slight anger, My prince, what do you mean by this? Nangong Yang is Long Fei's fiancée, but now, she is holding onto the hand of another man. Nangong Yang held Dongfang Jian's hand with a face full of happiness and intimacy. When Long Zhanhai said this, she leaned her head into Dongfang Jian's embrace even more. Men and women weren't close with each other, and yet they had done such a thing. They had completely disregarded the Long family. Dongfang Jian's face was full of pride as he held Nangong Yang tightly. Nangong Yang sneered, General Long, my meaning is very simple. I want to cancel the engagement. Heh! Long Zhanhai frowned. Unknowingly, he released the war chief's profound spirit qi between his brows. Staring at Nangong Lei, he said, Reject the marriage? The emperor bestowed the marriage, and the grand elder nodded. You want to end the marriage? Your Highness, I can treat today's matter as a joke and it has never happened before. He had thought about the consequences. However, she never expected that Nangong Yang would actually dare to cancel the engagement, and even call them over to her own home to end the engagement. This was bullying. This was not putting the Long family in his eyes at all. Too arrogant. The cold expression on Nangong Yang's face and the complacent expression in his eyes were both extremely arrogant. Nangong Lei did not speak. Nangong Yang said, The reason I called you over this time is to let you go to the emperor to propose a marriage annulment. The emperor will definitely agree to it. As for the Grand Master of the Long family, that is a matter for your Long family. Don't worry, after the marriage annulment, I will definitely give you a satisfactory compensation. You've gone too far. Long Zhanhai trembled violently. The aura of the Peak War Chief was released unscrupulously, forming a strong qi that swept out and directly destroyed all the chairs in the hall. More than that, he even wanted the Long family to tell the emperor. He was humiliating the Long family, simply going too far. Heh. Is the War Chief realm amazing? At this moment, Dongfang Jian sneered. The battle qi on his body suddenly stirred, the fierce tiger roared, and blocked the attack from Long Zhanhai in an instant. And it was crushing. Long Zhanhai's brows tightened. Sect's orthodoxy? The battle qi cultivated by the sect disciples were different from the battle qi cultivated by them. In terms of aura, the orthodox power of the sect was much stronger, and it was difficult to be inferior to those of the same rank. Dongfang Jian laughed disdainfully, then said, I still have some experience. I don't care if you are some dogfart Long family, or some dogfart Four Pillars family. If my Yang sis wants to end the engagement, you better obediently do as she says, otherwise. Heh. Dongfang Jian sneered, his eyes filled with killing intent, and said, I will make you regret ever being born into this world. Boom. With that said, the battle qi on Dongfang Jian's body surged, and pounced towards Long Zhanhai. Bang, bang. Long Zhanhai staggered backwards, and only after taking a few steps did he stabilize himself. His face was pale, and his breathing was unstable. Great, great, Big Brother Jen is great. Nangong Yang acted like a little woman, and was extremely excited. He looked at Long Zhanhai with disdain. General Long, you have seen his cultivation, too. Only such an expert is worthy to be my, Nangong Yang's, husband. As for Long Fei, Nangong Yang sneered, and said, a waste of negative activation to dragon blood simply doesn't have the qualifications to marry me, nor the qualifications to lick my shoes. Long Fei, you are just a toad, understand? In this life, I will never like you, much less marry you. Just give up on this thought. I only like Brother Jian. Nangong Yang ruthlessly stepped on Long Fei to emphasize her superiority. After she finished speaking, she snuggled closer into Dongfang Jian's embrace. Dongfang Jian was the only son of the vice sect master of the Heaven sect. He could give himself too much to want. Moreover, he could directly bring him into the Heaven sect. Could Long Fei do that? No. Could Long Fei give him the sect's cultivation resources? No. Long Fei couldn't give her anything. His current strength was not bad, but his negative activation to dragon blood was his weak point. In addition, his pubes had shattered and his veins were congealing, making it difficult for him to achieve much in the martial way. Thus, following him would only make him wait for this tiny fire-glass city. She didn't want to spend the rest of her life with a good-for-nothing. Nangong Yang looked at the silent Long Fei, thinking that she had shocked him. He became even more pleased with himself and laughed. Big Brother Jian, see if he was shocked silly by your battle chi or not. Dongfang Jian also laughed complacently. With just a finger, I can kill this kind of trash. Long Zhanhai was furious. Long Fei could not hold it in any longer and asked, Uncle, can I talk? If you don't speak now, I'm going to suffocate to death. Chapter 73 Invincible. Chapter 73 Invincible. Long Zhanhai was startled for a moment, and said, just say what you want to say. He was really holding his breath. It was not that he did not want to say it, but Long Zhanhai did not want him to say it. Long Fei took a step forward, looked at Dongfang Jian, then looked at the proud face of Nangong Yang, sneered, and said, beautiful your F***king sense of superiority. He immediately cursed angrily. Immediately. Everyone in the hall was shocked. Long Fei continued to speak, Nangong Yang, what qualifications do you have to show me your sense of superiority? With your looks. Your figure. I'm sick of it. Brother, do you think she's still as pure as ice and jade? Ha ha ha. Then you're wrong. Her body has already been rotted by me. How could someone as idiotic as you be fooled by her? Look at her pretentious look, she's even more deadly in bed. Long Fei laughed and said, Aya, big brother, could it be that you have such a good mouth? Then you must be careful, don't get infected by any strange diseases. Long Fei. Nangong Lei suddenly shouted. Nangong Yang seemed as if he was stepped on by a cat as he said flustered and exasperatedly, Long Fei, what nonsense are you spouting? At this time, Dongfang Jian released Nangong Yang, and his face turned ice-cold. Nangong Yang anxiously said, Big Brother Jian, he is speaking nonsense, he is framing me, how can I possibly take a fancy to trash like him? Long Fei laughed, and said, Big brother, you don't believe me, right? If you don't believe me, you can look at her knees. I can guarantee that there are still bruises on her knees, and when she kneeled in front of me that day, she was so strong, what the hell? Normal people can't resist it. You know that posture, A few days ago, he was forced to kneel on the ground by the Grand Duke's oppressive aura. Even if she was cured, her kneecap must still be bruised. Nangong Yang was so angry that his hair almost stood up straight. He glared at Long Fei and wished that he could tear him into 1,000 pieces. He screamed, Long Fei, I will kill you. Playing tricks. A feeling of superiority. Was Nangong Yang worthy to be Long Fei's opponent? Too weak. It was simply too weak. Long Fei had a look of fear on his face as he said, Big brother, did you see that? Being exposed her scars means that she is about to be silenced. Aren't you being too vicious? Nangong Yang was so angry that he went berserk. He pulled Dongfang Jian's hand and said, It's not like that, big brother Jen, it's not like that, I really have nothing to do with him. Sigh. Long Fei sighed, put on a look of helplessness, and said, little sister Yang, please climb the high branch and tell me. I will let you go. In any case, you are not much different from those women from Yihong Yuan. I do not mean it, but you cannot lie to this big brother. Big brother, let me ask you, do you think that someone who had been engaged for several years wouldn't have anything to do with each other? Look at those alluring eyes of hers. If it were you, would you be able to bear it? I guess you can't stand it, so do you think I'd lie to you? If you really don't believe me, then check her knees. If there's no injury on her knees, then prove that what I said was false. If there's an injury, then you have to be more careful. Maybe one day you'll have over 100 green hats on your head. Ha ha ha. Long Zhanhai was stunned. He started to admire Long Fei a little, and praised in his heart, awesome, this mouth of yours can actually kill people, and can even kill people's hearts. Ha ha ha. Long Fei, good boy. Long Zhanhai became angrier. Nangong Lei, I never thought that your daughter would be such a person. No wonder she doesn't know how to discipline you. You must be used to it, right? You. Nangong Lei was so angry that he couldn't say a word. He did not expect that Long Fei's words would actually be so powerful. It's not like that, big brother Jen, it's really not like that. Nangong Yang anxiously tried to explain. Dongfang Zhen's tone was not as intimate as before, and carried a hint of coldness as he asked, little sister Yang, if that's not true, then show me your knee. That will prove your innocence. And then I'll kill him. Long Fei also said, little sister Yang, let me show you to him. That is the mark of our love. You shut up. Nangong Yang was so angry that she couldn't take care of herself, and she knew very well that the injury on her knee had not healed yet. However, she couldn't explain it either. The more she explained, the paler she became, and the more she couldn't explain it clearly. He hated Long Fei to the bones. Dongfang Zhen urged her, little sister Yang, let me take a look. Big brother Zhen, I really don't have one. Nangong Yang held onto her dress tightly. Long Fei laughed, if I don't, let him have a look. Ah! Nangong Yang was going crazy. He rushed towards Xiong Long Fei with all his might. I want to kill you. Long Fei immediately pretended to be afraid, and said, murdering my husband, little sister Yang, don't worry, I am indeed tired of playing with your body, but I will take responsibility towards you. If you don't want the child in your stomach, you can give it to me. Humph. Dongfang Zhen could not bear it either. Swinging his sleeves, he turned and left with quick steps. Nangong Yang wanted to stop him, but he was pushed off and shouted, Nangong Yang, please behave yourself. With that, Dongfang Zhen walked out of the hall, and quickly left the Duke Palace without looking back. His face was filled with anger. No. No. Big brother Zhen, it's really not like what he said. Nangong Yang burst into tears, gritting his teeth as he turned to look at Long Fei, screaming in pain, Long Fei, I want you dead. Humph. Long Fei's expression became ice-cold as he said, with just you. Without waiting for him to make a move, the aura of the Peak War Chief on Long Zhanhai's body suddenly shook, and directly bounced Nangong Yang away, and said coldly, Nangong Lei, please control this unscrupulous daughter of yours. If you can't control it, I don't mind teaching you on your behalf. The voice boomed. The aura of the Peak War Chief diffused into every corner of the hall, and was abnormally thick. The anger in Nangong Lei's heart raged, but he stood up and stared at Long Fei. Since you don't want to break the engagement, then please go back. No. Long Fei smiled slightly and said, my prince, I can agree to break off the engagement, but only if. Nangong Lei frowned and asked, what is it? Long Fei revealed an evil smile as he looked at Nangong Yang, and said, let Nangong Yang accompany me for 3 days and 3 nights. After you finish accompanying me, I will immediately rescind the engagement. He was very clear that Nangong Yang was only a lowly person. Moreover, the natural seductive character that Nangong Yang possessed made it impossible for anyone to reject him. What Long Fei wanted was not love, but flesh. Isn't Nangong Yang noble? I will turn you into a piece of trash. Let's see if you can remain cold and arrogant. Treat the enemy. Long Fei would never be merciful, even if it was a woman. Long Fei. Nangong Lei was furious. Nangong Yang said in a weak voice, "Father, kill him, kill him." Long Fei laughed complacently, "If you don't agree, then don't. Why are you so angry? In 3 years, she will still be mine. At that time, if I want to play with her for a few days, it's not illegal to play with my own wife. Ha ha ha. Uncle, let's go." Long Zhanhai was so impressed that he kneeled down. Invincible, too awesome. Chapter 74, You're Throwing Me to Hell. Chapter 74, You're Throwing Me to Hell. A battle of words was invincible. In the game, Long Fei alone could match up to a group. He had never lost. However, this world was a world of strong warriors. Today, he had used his mouth to suppress Nangong Lei, but the Long family's situation would only get worse and worse. To change, it required power. The two of them left the prince's mansion and walked on the main street. Long Zhanhai asked indifferently, "What do you think?" Long Fei replied, "I don't have any ideas." "What?" Long Zhanhai was startled, then laughed. "Being bullied like this, how can you not have thoughts? This is not like the arrogant young lord of the Long family." Long Zhanhai naturally did not believe it. Everything that had happened in the Great Hall seemed as if they had won, but in reality, the Long family had suffered a crushing defeat. "They want to end the engagement, not by coming to your house, but by making you come to his house. Is this called breaking off the engagement? Is there really such an arrogant marriage annulment?" Furthermore, Nangong Yang had criticized Long Fei so much in front of him. If she did not have a strong backing, would she dare to do it? The most crucial point. In Long Zhanhai's heart, he had a feeling that Nangong Lei already knew about his grandelder's injuries. That was to say that the Long family had Nangong Lei's undercover spy. Long Fei laughed and asked back, "What do you think?" Long Zhanhai also laughed. "My fiancé isn't mine, what thoughts can I have? If it's my fiancé, I'll definitely snatch it. Even if I don't like it, I have to snatch it, because I'm a member of the Long family. When has my Long family ever been bullied before?" "Are you trying to provoke me?" Long Fei said, "Uncle, I am not a 3-year-old child, but I feel that you are right. When have the people of the Long family ever been bullied before? Daring to break off your father's engagement is even worse." Ha ha ha. Long Zhanhai laughed loudly, and said, "This is the seed of the Long family." "That's right." Long Zhanhai's expression became solemn, and said, "I've been thinking about how I can help you during this period, and it was decided just now." "What decision?" Long Fei was startled. Long Zhanhai grinned excitedly. "I'm preparing to throw you into the Long family's army." Before he left the prince's mansion, he and Long Sanfeng had a trace of apprehension in his heart and was worried for Long Fei's safety. But now, he made up his mind. The time left to the Long family was too little, and to Long Fei, too, was too little. He had to let Long Fei quickly mature, and the Long family army stationed in the hundreds of thousands of barren mountains was the best choice. Moreover, every head of the Long family would enter the Long family's army to train. Only by obtaining the Long family's army's approval would they be able to control the Long family's army and become a divine dragon marquis. Supreme dragon of the Long family. Long Fei was dumbfounded. "Uncle, are you throwing me into hell?" Long Fei knew very well what kind of existence the Long family's army was. That place was definitely hell, and when the Long family's army trained people, they would only be doing it in the face of death. Ha ha ha. Are you scared? Long Zhanhai laughed out loud. "This is a method that I thought of after breaking my brain. You won't disappoint your uncle, will you?" "Afraid?" Long Fei said arrogantly. "I don't have the word afraid in my dictionary. Isn't that the Long family army? I'll go. This is what the Long family is like. Ha ha ha." Long Zhanhai was very happy. He was even worried that Long Fei would reject him. From the looks of it, he was overthinking it. Actually, Long Fei himself knew that he needed a place to level up and break through. Nangong Lai's appearance made him realize that he had to quickly break through and level up, so that he could take charge of the Long family and make the families in Fireglass City that were eyeing him covetously behave themselves. Grandpa was old, and he couldn't bear any more pain. He had to carry the Long family's banner. Thinking about a very important problem, Long Fei could not help but ask, "Uncle, where is the Long family army stationed at?" Just by training, these could only strengthen his body. What he wanted was to hunt demon beasts and level up, and he could only hunt demon beast. Long Zhanhai replied excitedly, "Hell, where is it?" Long Fei asked. Long Zhanhai said, "Hundreds of thousands of barren mountains, an existence similar to hell." Hundreds of thousands of barren mountains? Long Fei's heart tensed up. This name feels like I've heard it before. Hundreds of thousands of barren mountains, desolate mountain. Great desolate mountain? Suddenly, Long Fei's mind trembled. The great desolate mountain of the wildfire prairie? If that's the case. Inexplicably, Long Fei clenched his fists tightly and asked anxiously, "When are you going?" Long Zhanhai was startled, and asked, "When do you want to go?" "I'll go today." Prince Nangong's manner. Nangong Yang was so angry that he immediately became sick. If his cultivation was not good, he would have been angered to death by Long Fei. At this moment, Nangong Lei's face flushed red. He led Dongfang Jian and the black-robed old man into Nangong Yang's room and asked, "Yanga, who did you see to see you?" Dongfang Jian immediately rushed forward and blamed himself. "Little sister Yang, it's all my fault, it's all my fault, it's all my fault, I should have trusted you." The situation had completely changed. Of course. This was because the black-robed elder behind him had told him that Nangong Yang was still a virgin. In his heart, he also hated Long Fei to the bones. Nangong Yang's expression changed as tears rolled down his face. "What are you still doing here? I don't want to see you again." As he spoke, he burst into tears. In actuality, there was no need to mention how happy Nangong Yang was in his heart. But at this time, she had to pretend to be wronged. She had to make Dongfang Jian feel that he owed her. As expected, Dongfang Jian started to get anxious. He looked at Nangong Lei and said, "Uncle Nangong, help me out. It's because I like little sister Yang that I'm provoked by Long Fei. Next time I see Long Fei, I must skin him alive." The black-robed old man moved slightly, an order badge and an ancient book landed on Nangong Yang's bed, and said, "These two things can be considered as compensation to you. Don't pretend to be wronged in front of young master." Nangong Yang's expression was a little awkward. Looking at the order badge with the words "Inner Sect of the Chao Tian Sect" carved on it, he was overjoyed. This was the order badge for the Inner Sect disciples of the Chao Tian Sect. With this medallion, he was like an inner disciple of the Heaven Sect. Then, he looked at another ancient book. Nangong Yang was ecstatic. 9 Heavens Sword Technique. She had heard her father talk about this sword technique before. It was one of the 10 great sword techniques of the Heaven Sect, and was at the peak of the 9th level of the Heaven stage. Nangong Lei was also greatly shocked in his heart. He coughed and said, "Yanga, don't be angry anymore. There are still 2 months until the date of the Purple Taboo martial meet. During this period of time, cultivate well, and then, cut off Long Fei's tendons in his limbs and wash away his shame." Nangong Yang immediately turned around and grabbed Dongfang Jian's arm with one hand, and said, "Big brother Jian, you will teach me, right?" It instantly became intimate. Dongfang Jian was even more lost in thought. He nodded his head like a chick pecking rice. "Of course I will." Nangong Yang suddenly leaned on Dongfang Jian's shoulder, and a cold glint flashed past his eyes. He swore in his heart, "Long Fei, I will definitely kill you during the forbidden purple banquet." Chapter 75 Enemy Attack. Chapter 75 Enemy Attack. Be good at home. Long Fei stood at the courtyard entrance and pulled Jojo's small hand. Jojo's face flushed red. She did not dare to raise her head to look at Long Fei as she nodded and said, "Young master must take good care of yourself outside as well." "Don't worry." Long Fei laughed all over. At this time, Long Shan and the others walked over and said, "Young master, it's about time." Long Fei replied, "Got it." Then, Long Fei said softly to the courtyard, "Shadow, you have to protect Jojo while I'm not around, and don't forget to cultivate as well. Your current cultivation is not qualified to be my shadow." He had fought with Shadow last night. 3 moves of slay. And this was even under the premise that Long Fei did not use the toading skill and dragon salya technique. There was no sound from the courtyard. Long Fei didn't say much. Seeing Jojo lightly kiss her forehead, he said, "Wait for my return properly." After he finished speaking, Long Fei walked out of the courtyard and shouted towards Long Shan and the others, "Let's go." Jojo fiddled with the corner of her clothes, her cheeks scarlet red, her body burning with passion. Seeing Long Fei walk far away, her heart immediately became empty as she muttered, "Young master, you have to take good care of yourself, okay?" The shadow's low voice sounded in her ear. "He's still in a daze. He's already gone far away." Jojo's face flushed red again. Hundreds of thousands of barren mountains, the border region of Fireglass Dynasty. The desolate mountain was incomparably dangerous. This was also the main way for the evil demons to enter the Fireglass Dynasty. Because of the Long family's protection, not a single evil demon had entered the Fireglass Dynasty's territory in all these years. It could be said that without the Long family's army, there would be no peace and prosperity for the Fireglass Dynasty. The Long family's combat ability was extremely valiant. It was the strongest army in the Fireglass Dynasty. This army was not ordered by the royal family, they were ordered by the Dragon God Warriors, or perhaps by the Supreme Dragon King. And the Dragon God Warriors or the Dragon Family's Supreme Being must obtain their recognition. This time, Long Fei was not the only one who entered the Long family's army. There were also Long Shan and the 8 Long family disciples. 10 days later, in a small forest, a bonfire was lit and everyone was gathered in a circle. "I heard that the hundreds of thousands of barren mountains where the Long family army is located in is hell, and ordinary people can't hold on for 3 days. It's more than just hell. It's 10,000 times more dangerous than hell. The Long family's army was trained by the Long family's grand ancestor. They have been standing here for less than 10,000 years because they had the will of their ancestors, the will of the dragon soul." In the past, the 18 dragon cavalry of the Long family had slaughtered countless demons and demons over 100,000 miles, and they were so awe-inspiring. The invasion of the demons was blocked by the Long family's army. Without them, the world would not be as peaceful as it is now. I never would have thought that we would have to reduce the military expenditure. I really don't know what the emperor is thinking. I heard that the matter of cutting the military expenditure was brought up by Nangong Lei. Mother *K, our Long family is helping the Nangong family to protect the borders, but they are actually treating us like this. They are 2F King unhappy. Along the way, the 10 people were constantly discussing. They were not very old, the oldest was only 20 years old and they were all hot-blooded. They were very angry about the actions of the Nangong imperial clan. They felt indignant for the Long family's army. Long Fei had never thought of these, because these were simple truths. The Long family was weak. If the Long family was strong, would Nangong Hui dare to reduce the military expenditure? Nangong Lei dared to raise such an objection? It was almost the same as courting death. The change was simple. Strong enough. That was why Long Fei did not participate in these discussions along the way. He took out the Heavenly Dragon Gaze and read it more than 10 times, but did not record anything regarding the Great Desolate Mountain's prairie fire. Only the last words of the book. In the Great Desolate Mountain, with a single thought, I will kill all living things. The person who wrote the book said it was a roaring fire dragon. Long Fei had also checked some records. The hundreds of thousands of barren mountains was called Great Desolate Mountain tens of thousands of years ago. If it really is a fire dragon, tens of thousands of years have passed, is that fire dragon still alive? Long Fei asked himself, no matter if I am there or not, for my grandfather's sake, I have to find it. Even if there was the slightest bit of hope, Long Fei would not give up. In this world, the only thing that could save his grandfather was a large amount of dragon blood. He had to find it. Long Shan walked up and said, "Young master, your mind is very heavy along the way. What are you thinking about? You're not worried about the Long family's severity, are you?" Everyone gathered around him. They now had incomparable respect for Long Fei. Long Feng replied, "Young master, there's no need to worry. No matter what, you're still the young master of the Long family. The Long family's army must also think it over carefully. Young master, we will help you. Yes, we will all help you. Long Fei closed the book and laughed lightly. Thank you brothers for your kind intentions, but in the army, there will be no young master of the Long family. We are all rookies, we have to listen to everything you say. Huh. You're the young master. Yeah. Long Fei replied, it's the same if I'm the Long family's patriarch. There's no exception to the Long family army. If there's an exception, then I won't be called Long family army. The Long family's army has stood for 10,000 years and is still the strongest army in the Fireglass dynasty. They didn't rely on the Long family's ancestors, they relied on their perseverance and will to never lose. Our entrance into the Long family's army is a trial, so no matter how unfair the situation is, we must endure it. He had planned everything before he came. Everyone looked at Long Fei and realized that Long Fei had really changed, becoming more mature than them. The admiration in their hearts grew even deeper. Long Fei stretched his back and said, everyone should rest early. We'll arrive tomorrow. Long Shan also urged, disperse, disperse. Everyone scattered and slept on the ground. Long Fei looked at the night sky and thought about the current situation of the Long family. He thought to himself, 3 pillars, the Nangong imperial clan, they are all hard bones, and every single one of them is eyeing the Long family like a tiger eyeing its prey. Grandfather is also severely injured. Currently, Uncle Long is the only one left in the Long family. Facing the 4 great powers that are crushing him, Uncle will definitely have a hard time even moving. I wonder if we can withstand it. F***CK. I must become strong. I must let the Long family last for thousands and thousands of years. He clenched his fists. Slowly, Long Fei fell asleep in a daze. In his dreams, he saw Jojo, he saw Liu Luosh's smile, he saw Yixian's youthful and beautiful appearance, he saw Xiao Qianqian's cute and mischievous appearance, he saw Fu Shishan taking off her veil, and he saw his shadow. In his dreams, Long Fei revealed a faint smile. While he was rolling on the bed with these women, suddenly, he could feel a dangerous aura approaching. At this moment, Long Fei instantly sprung up and fiercely roared, hurry and get up, there's an enemy attack. As soon as his voice faded, the sound of orderly footsteps could be heard in the forest. Danger! You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.